With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
It's GT3 night in the Precision Racing League once more, and as always, we kick it off with the GT3 Fixed Series here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Last week at Snetterton, it was Floyd Kerr back on top in the Fixed Series, taking his rightful place back at the top of the championship. And Sean Campbell, after switching to the McLaren, had struggles, and Vincent Trevenier made it 2 for 2. We'll see what happens this week. Can either of those streaks continue? It is certainly a mystery, but welcome to round 6 of the PRL GT3 series, live from the virtual Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Hi everybody, I am Joey Tebben, and I wish I were in Barcelona now, but instead I'm in Pittsburgh. Terry Radford's here. Hugo Luis is behind the scenes doing production things. But Terry, we're in Barcelona. Buenas noches.
I don't know what you said, but it sure sounded good. I'm definitely not the guy that normally comes on here and talks GT3 cars, but Barcelona was super fun to run today to get prepared for this show. I am officially the slowest person in the PRL. I think they could get some off tracks and still be faster than me in what I did around here, but it was also the first time driving the track. I had just bought the place. I didn't get them while I sleep. I got tons of excuses. I can go all day long.
And I'm sure we'll wheel out more of those excuses once the broadcast kicks off here. We'll get some Terry comparisons in the way there, but let's take a look at the rest of the schedule for this season in the GT3 Fixed and Sprint Series. Identical schedules for both of these series. Of course, this week we go to Barcelona, part of sort of a four-way sequence of very, very tight and twisty tracks that tend to punish mistakes a little bit. Barcelona, not so much, but we kicked that off with Laguna Seca in round 4, then the tight quarters of Snetterton last week, then we come to the tight quarters of Barcelona this week, and then we kind of end this streak off at Aschersleben next week, which we've already seen how crazy that got in the GT4s, and we're about to go one bigger with the GT3s, then a pair of F1 tracks in Kota and Suzuka, and then we finish the season off at Rudskogen, another tight and twisty track that might be a little bit too small for these GT3s, but when we're trying to decide a championship there, that should be all the more exciting. Speaking of the championship, here is the GT3 Fixed Series standings, the drivers' standings. Floyd Kerr, as I mentioned, retook the championship lead after winning last week for the second time this season. He switched from the Audi to the Porsche. He's taken a 20-point penalty, but he still has the championship lead over Michael Terrafino and Andre Benatti, who are both closely in tow. Andres Espinosa has been on a tear lately. He got 2 wins 2 weeks ago, and he's trying to catch up in the championship still. Carolo, Strykars, Silver, Sully Saad, Gary Brown, and Dale Peterson round out the top 10 in the drivers' standings for the moment. And then in the team standings, it could not be closer. Team Beef, Vulture Motorsports North, and SRT Esport Black, separated by 3 whole points. That is going to be a hotly contested fight over the entirety of this season with 4 rounds to go. We Race Esports is still in contention as well in 4th, and then as you go a little bit further down, Keeping It Real Esports, Vulture Motorsports South, Cloud Valve Racing North, the Hardpoint by Delta Sport Academy, Team Frida Sport, and Throttle Thursday round out the top 10 in the team standings in GT3 Fixed. Looks like qualifying has ticked over here. Practice has come to an end. About 8 minutes 40 left to go in qualifying. But before we can take you to the action, as always, we have to thank the people who make every single PRL broadcast possible. Of course, as always, first up, VCO, the virtual competition organization, helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season. Our coverage is also brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. I've read these how many times you'd think I'd get them all right, but this coverage is also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, Racebox Sim Racing's button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and also get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. From Racebox, we move to RaceLab. RaceLab apps helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. This coverage is also happily brought to you by The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with The Butt Kicker. And last but not least, Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Of course you are. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, back testing, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Well, we made quick work of that, Terry. There's still 7 minutes left to go in qualifying. Nobody has actually set a lap time just yet. Everybody's still on their first laps right now. We watch Andres Espinosa in that Ferrari. He was on top in practice. Let's see if he can do it again in qualifying.
Hey, you talked about it before we came on the air, and you gave me a quick little speed of what we were going to do here, and you talked about how fast he was through the whole season. He's not disappointing either. He comes out here so far, and he looks mighty good as he comes through the sector of the track that I kept locking up on for some reason, but he's done a fast job. You see Sector 1, very fast. Sector 2, very fast. It's Sector 3, he clocks it in, and man, top of the board he goes. Oh, but not for long.
Not for long, though. Gary Brown in that Porsche, always quick this season. He has been fast at every single track we've gone to. Hasn't quite been able to get the deal done. He came second last week, though, and he's hoping that is finally going to be his season turning around. He's put it on pole for the moment. Michael Terrafino, though, ends Gary Brown's dreams early with 5 minutes 50 to go. Michael Terrafino puts it on pole.
Yeah, Terrafino did a good job there. Put a 143.8 down. That was the first driver so far to go into the 143 bracket. Everybody else is in the 144.0s. Sad goes down there in the 079. He places it back. You see Kenny Rodriguez here. He's getting ready to wrap up Sector 2 and enter himself into Sector 3. Sector 2 is the longest sector we're going to have, so we'll imagine 38-ish seconds will put him somewhere in the ballpark to potentially get pole. You see a little off track right there.
Kenny Rodriguez, one of the few Lamborghinis in the field. Not a lot of Lamborghinis are left here. There were a few more last season, but in this fixed series, there is still cars that drivers tend to flock to, and the Lamborghini has not been one of them. And also, it looks like Kenny Rodriguez has a little bit of damage on the right front of that car. I don't know where he went off. I don't think that's part of the livery. I think that is actual damage. So Kenny Rodriguez is currently qualifying damage, and I'm not quite sure why he didn't come back to the pits and get that fixed.
Raced it as hard as possible. Maybe he's pretending that he's going to have damage in the race as well. I mean, he's on lap 1. Kind of see. I mean, he still has good pace, good turn, good bite through it. Motor still sounds pretty, so he comes off in the final corner down here. He's going to put it... Ooh. 20th. Not very good.
20th for Kenny Rodriguez, still ahead of quite a few drivers, about midway in the field. It's interesting. There's a huge field spread this week. It isn't always this big. Michael Terrafino on pole right now with a 1:43.8. You go down to the lowest driver who set a qualifying lap time, Brian Hoskins. He's on a 1:47.4. There's almost 4 seconds of spread here at Barcelona, which is way bigger than I expected. Normally we come to Barcelona kind of expecting all the lap times to be pretty similar. This is a popular track in every single road racing series. Everybody knows this track. Everybody's done a ton of laps here. But somehow, there's still 4 seconds of field spread between first and 36th.
Yeah, I mean, this field is actually a whole lot closer. I mean, you talked about the field size coming in here. My math is not the greatest. 43. So there's a lot of people in the track. And you actually posted on Twitter where Barcelona is not really known for amazing racing across the board. Passing's kind of at a premium. You really have to make it. You have to make it work. You spread out pretty quickly here. But this top 5, you look at the best lap times across the board. I mean, a 1:43.8. You go all the way down. You have to go to 15th to find somebody that's a full second behind what our leader Terrafino has put down. Very tight quarters across the board.
Terrafino's teammate Roy Brown navigating through the final chicane here in an updated Team Beef livery. If my memory serves me correctly, I don't remember that hot dog being on the side before, but I'm glad to see it back. That was my favorite part of the Team Beef liveries last season. There was an actual picture of an Italian beef and a burger and a hot dog on the side of those cars. And Roy Brown has given us a cartoon hot dog at the very least. It's a step in the right direction for the mustard-colored Porsche. He's going to stay P8, though, a few spots behind his teammate, Greg Doucette, in the other plaid Throttle Thursday entry. A little bit lower down in qualifying than he would have liked, P16 right now. Still the top half of the field, though. And Greg Doucette's a driver who tends to take advantage of calamity. He's not a driver who makes many mistakes himself. So no matter where he qualifies, you kind of expect him to pick up a couple of positions over the course of the race. But he's going to take that BMW through the final chicane. That's probably not going to be a very quick way of doing it. He completely overcooked the first half.
Yeah, it kind of looked like me out there. I would say I wasn't driving the BMW. I was driving the Audis. I'm an Audi guy. I would rather race those than anything else on the service. If I'm gonna road race, I want to go to the Audis themselves. I think they're fun to look at. You see the Porsche right here of Morales. He's rounding out here. Currently sitting, he's currently tracking pretty decent. He's got a 1:44.5 on the board, sitting in P8. Maybe trying to pick up just a tad bit more than what he had before. I think he lost some of his time going through those hairpins there. Not too shabby so far as he continues around this lap.
Yeah, Rodrigo displaced Roy Brown in the other Porsche for P8 on that previous lap. Under braking into La Caixa here, you may notice that it's a different layout than what we normally see in the real-life organization of Barcelona. In Formula 1 now, we don't take that hairpin there. We go wide at turn 10, the old classic layout of La Caixa, but here in Barcelona, in the virtual world, we are still taking that old hairpin, and Rodrigo Morales takes a little bit too much speed through turn 13 and loops that car around. So if that lap wasn't going to be an improvement in the first place, it's definitely not going to be an improvement now. Still a few seconds left to go in qualifying. A few more drivers have laps left in the tank that will count. Sully Saad currently P6 in a frankly beautiful Lebanese Porsche livery. This is one of my favorite liveries in the whole field. He debuted a few races ago, and it is just an incredible sight to see. But let's see if his lap time will be incredible as he comes to the line. 1:44.3 to improve. Not quite. Still 0.3 off his best.
I mean, it's still not bad here. As you see, Terrafino's trying to actually improve on his lap. This would be lap number 4 when he crosses the line. No, never mind. He just wanted to go out there and put a little bit more on it. Figured he wasn't going to be faster. Comes on pit road regardless. Does what he has to do. You see Dismore. He's there. He didn't clock faster. He was a little bit slower. See everybody else. Qualifying's over. Grid time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Karan just got that lap time in time, so he will stay 23rd. I think he found a little bit of improvement. But anyway, looks like the grid is ready to go here. And for the third time this season, it's Michael Terrafino back on top. Gary Brown starts alongside him, and Floyd Kerr is in third. Andre Bonatti is fourth, and Andres Espinoza is fifth, making it basically all 5 of your championship protagonists in the top 5, and they're joined by the Lebanese Porsche of Sully Saad. P7 went to Angelo Veloz. He's alongside his We Race Esports teammate Rodrigo Morales. Roy Brown in the Team Beef Porsche is 9th, and Kenny Duval in the Cloud Valve Porsche is 10th. Kyle Strykars is 11th, and Steven Martinez puts it P12. Jeff Carollo in one of the few Lamborghinis starts alongside Greg Doucette. Andrew Rasmussen and Dale Peterson are 15th and 16th. Chris Colantonio and Matt Dinsmore round out about the first half of the field, but the hits are going to keep on coming here. Brandon Six for keeping it real starts alongside Matt Scherf. Kalaga, Glover, Karanges, and Nick Silver bring us down to 24th. 25th place in qualifying went to Kenny Rodriguez in that damaged Lamborghini, and Alex Wright will start 26th. John Columbia is 27th. Aiden Hill has just switched over from the GT4s, racing for Club Pennsylvania, so I'm going to be rooting for him there in 28th. Ryan Luna and Juan Carlos Iturbe round out row 15 there, both BMWs. Ryan Chandler is the lead Chandler alongside Jod Khalif. Cloud Valve Racing's Mark File is 33rd. Regan Chandler 2 spots behind Ryan. Jeff Fleischman and Thomas Amos are row 18. Glenn Vanko, Joe McCauley, Rodrigo Michelin, and Brian Hoskins were the last drivers to set a qualifying lap time. And Matias Arangua, Patrick Cowgill are the last 2 drivers in the field. They may take to the grid. It looks like Patrick Cowgill will without qualifying. Not so sure about Matias Arangua, but either way, 40 plus cars at Barcelona, Terry. Not a track where there's always passing, but when you put 42 cars on one track, you're guaranteed to see a lot of action for 35 minutes.
Well, and it also helps you see the track conditions down there at the lower right of the screen. It's mostly cloudy around here, so the track temp is only up to 75 degrees. So it'll be a ton of grip throughout these corners. Your braking will be great. You'll be able to get back on the throttle off exit. This is a difficult racetrack, and somebody's going to swing wide. I'm not too sure if you're going to make well, in Sector 2, I don't think you're going to make a pass without somebody making a mistake. But Sectors 1 and Sector 3, there's always a chance to maybe slip one in and outbrake somebody.
Short pace lap here at Barcelona is always we're always thankful for that here in the booth. Don't have to sit around for too long. The drivers navigate through this chicane even under pace conditions. This is very, very difficult to navigate. Very close quarters. Looks like everybody's going to make it through though. Michael Terrafino takes control of the field. Gary Brown, rather, to his outside. The green flag is already ready for Michael Terrafino. We're going racing at Barcelona. Oh, there's a huge crash in the background. I think that's Kenny Rodriguez already in trouble before he even gets to the start line. I think that's Glenn Vanko as well in the Team B Ferrari. 2 drivers already with heavy damage, and they didn't even get to the start line yet. Floyd Kerr and Gary Brown up ahead, though, side by side as we round the top of the hill. Andres Espinoza trying to take advantage as well. No shortage of action here in the first third of the lap.
No, and that also kind of happens whenever you get that initial jump. The leaders are way ahead of you. They've already got on the gas. They're already ready to go. You're coming out of the final corner trying to get your way to the start-finish line. Overcook it, maybe get loose. You go straight through that gravel pit. You're going in the wall. As you see, we're just sitting here snaking all the way through. Everybody wants to get single file before we get to the left and right-handers coming up here shortly. You start them here. Oh, no!
Gary Brown spins ahead of the field. Rodrigo Morales tries to make it through, and he's going to spin on the track. I think that was one of the Lamborghinis who's off the road as well. That might have been Carollo, but huge trouble, and it keeps going. Carollo's still losing it in the 52. He's in the wall on the outside of turn 7. Huge drama, and it's still kicking off. The We Race Esports drivers are trying to go side by side. Andres Espinoza goes over the curb. That's all kicking off here at Barcelona.
I told you that you're not going to make very many passes at Barcelona without somebody going off the racetrack. Well, it was all hell broke loose right there in the corner. Spins around in front. Everybody's juking and driving left and right. You had 4 drivers drive off the racetrack. You had 3 drivers try to miss it and get tagged and caught up in it. You see the battle right here for the 7th place position. I mean, you've got drivers going over the curves, getting pushed over the curves, getting pushed in the grass. There's all sorts of chaos. We just completed a lap too, by the way.
Yeah, Rodrigo Morales had no real help there. He kind of got forced to do a little bit of an ollie there as he jinks to the left on the straight, almost takes Andrew Rasmussen with him. Rasmussen dives to the inside. He takes P6. Andrew Rasmussen is up 10 spots on lap 1. He avoided a lot of calamity, but that is an incredible start for the driver who almost won round 1 this season.
If you miss all of the calamity, you tend to pick up a good bit of spots. I mean, you see 38th on back is on pit road. So he drove through a ton of stuff to get up here. As you see, Greg Doucette right here. He's currently sitting in the 12th place position. Sees this battle going on in front of him, side by side, between that would be Chris. I'm not even going to say that.
Cole Antonio.
Yeah, Cole Antonio and Steven Martinez attempting to make it, but they settle it back out. You're not going to go side by side right here in these next couple corners.
So there's still trouble in the background. That's one of the Clow Valve drivers, Baron Glover, goes hopping over the curbs, and he's taken both Throttle Thursday drivers with him. Nicholas Karangis in the background had to check up for that, and Greg Doucette is off the road as well. Both of them involved. Up front as well, the battle's kicking off. Floyd Kerr has chased down Michael Terrafino. It's Porsche versus BMW up front. Everywhere else in the field, it's drivers versus the track.
I think Hugo kind of jinxed our boy back there, Greg Doucette, because right when he put the camera on him, he got camera shy, like, you know, people who are poop shy or something, they can't do it in public. He didn't want to be on camera, and we kind of jinxed him. He didn't get wrecked back there, but yeah, Kerr's actually put some really decent lap downs here the past couple, for the second lap. He's been faster. I mean, it was a 144.1 for Kerr. It was a 144.5. Yeah,
around the outside in turn 1. Is he going to get Terrafino already as we climb the hill into turn 3? Kerr takes the outside. He's forced to the outside by Terrafino. This first sector kind of switches back and forth every single time. You might have the outside one corner, you lose it the next corner after that. There's more trouble in the back of the field. Floyd Kerr again trying to go around the outside of Michael Terrafino in turn 4. It looks like he's finally got the move done. Under braking into turn 5, Terrafino switches back, sends it to the inside down the hill. He's going to stay alongside Floyd Kerr. Neither of these two wants to give up the lead early. A little slide from Terrafino. He's forced to finally get back in line.
Back was pretty sexy. He actually did it really, really smart. Didn't want to make contact, but Floyd Kerr, he's on one. I mean, fast lap times, just putting it on him. I mean, Rosman put the fastest lap time of like 100th of a second, so nothing too wild. He's obviously not the fastest person out here, but Kerr's just playing it smart right here in this Porsche.
I also have to compliment Roy Brown. Started P9. Once again, avoided all the calamity on lap 1 in that Team Beef Porsche, and he's up to P3, potentially in the running for his first podium this season, which would be quite the accomplishment for Roy Brown. Now that the lead battle's kind of solved itself for at least for a moment, we can kind of go over the reports of who was out on lap 1. That was Benatti, by the way, who was that We Race Esports Porsche at a turn 7 who spun. It was not Espinoza, or it was not Rodrigo Morales, rather, because he's in P7 right now, but Benatti is out. Wani Turbe is out. Kenny Duval is out. Karangis, Rodriguez, and Strykars all currently sit on pit lane. And I'm sure once Director Hugo has all those replays spooled up, we'll be able to see what happened to every single one of those drivers. But there's still live battles going on right now. Jean Columbia currently fighting over that P15 spot. He's got a little bit of a snake behind him, and he's got Aiden Hill making his series debut behind him.
Yeah, season debut, and they're all up 12 positions. So they started a little further on back than what they wanted to, but they've worked their way up, able to miss all of the craziness that we saw in the initial lap there. You got a driver stopped on the racetrack back there in the distance. Oh, yeah, you said that these were a whole lot more calm than what we normally call together. This is not even close to calm.
I'm not sure if I said that, because if there's anything that this GT3 series isn't, it's calm. There's always stuff going on when you have 40-plus car grids here, and if you think this is crazy, wait until we get to the sprint race a little bit later. 40 minutes, pro and am split, more cars. It's going to get even more wild in about 28 minutes time, but we've still got a race to solve here before we can even think about that.
Well, hopefully I don't lose my voice. Got a lot of colleagues throughout our broadcasting side that's lost their voice. I got a race to lead tomorrow, so don't throw my voice away with this. But this is a good series. I mean, you're sitting here watching these drivers, the 53 right here in front of you. They're all just snaking through. You talked about no passing here at Barcelona. They got to peak out, and when they do, they got to make it count.
Gary Brown's certainly a driver who's going to be capable of passing. He qualified in the front row, had a spin a few laps ago, and he is on a recovery drive here tonight. He's up to 26th now. Doesn't look like there's much damage on that Porsche, which will be very, very helpful for him. But he has a lot of ground to make up. Luckily for him, he does have 27 minutes to do so. But he's also got about 25 passes to make if he wants to get back where he started. But let's kick off the replay machine. Here's Kenny Rodriguez. This is literally before the start-finish line, and that was Aiden Hill, who kind of pit maneuvered him there. I'm sure not intentionally, but there was nothing Rodriguez could have done there. And you also saw Glenn Vanko in the background hit the wall before the lap even began. This is Michael Kalaga on the outside. I think that's Alex Wright on the inside. Might have been a little bit of contact there between them two. Definitely contact between Kalaga and Wani Turbe.
That's a lot to unprocess there. Just a small bit of contact. Take a look at the other replay here. Where the 27 going through the corner just sees a cloud of smoke, and then everybody else just drives on through. Luckily for the 27, not a whole lot of contact for Benetti. Was able to back it back on off the racetrack and then keep going. And then here's the one with Martinez.
Baron Glover in the cloud valve Porsche trying to hold back. I think that's Nick Silver in the 24. And yeah, he just... Did he lose it there? Or did he get a little bit of help from
he got shipped. He got shipped by the 24.
Well, Nicholas Carangis giving a little bit of help in that one there. Here's what happened to Steven Martinez in the Ferrari. Oh, he almost got into the back of Sully Sod into turn 1. And then when he was trying to rejoin, there was a Kenny Duval there. And the Kenny Duval bad luck streak continues as well. There's so many drivers in the PRL we talk about having terrible luck over the course of the whole season. Ryan Kings, Mark Kalin, Steven Ritters, who just had his bad luck resolved last week. Kenny Duval needs a break too.
Yeah, the bad luck goes across the PRL. You got a lot of drivers that it's just had a bad streak, and Mark Kalin's streak's not over. I hope he does good tomorrow night, because come Saturday I'll be in Discord gloating the entire time 7 Eastern for Kentucky and Tennessee. But I love these cars. You see this Porsche right here? The first time I called a race with these cars was on podium. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on RaceSpot, but I was on podium when I did it. And doing a charity race, and they went on board. Never called a race, never driven the cars, nothing. And I saw all the gadgets that was inside this Porsche, and I fell in love with it. The 52's around.
Carollo's around once more in turn 1. That car, I think, was already damaged and might have a little bit more damage on it now after hopping over the sausage curbs. Let's take a look at what happened to Jeff. I think that's Dinsmore on the inside, or that may have been Baron, or yeah, I don't think that was Dinsmore. It was Dinsmore. Forgive me. That was Matt Dinsmore, not Brian Hoskins. And he and Carollo had a little bit of an argument there into turn 1. Looks like Ryan Luna also got punted around by Gary Brown. Gary's trying to drive his way forward through the field, and I think he just drove through Ryan Luna.
Way to do it. I mean, send yourself through somebody. And that's one way to make a pass at Barcelona. There's not a whole lot of other places to do it. You got these very short, fast straights that you got right here, not too long, going into the corner. You have to make that pass and get clear before you get to that tight corner there. And then you have that another short little spot. Kind of reminds me of Canadian Tire. And then you have the long sweeping corner. Takes you over there towards a Watkins Glen maybe. But you don't have very many opportunities. You got to put the bumper to somebody, but you do a lot more damage to yourself in these cars than you do in the other stock cars.
I'm going to start calling this this battle behind John Columbia for P17, the District of Columbia. It's basically its own city here. You see John Columbia at the head of your screen, and then there's about 13 cars behind him that just can't move forward. They're just stuck behind him. Goes all the way back. It basically spans the entirety of this straight. John Columbia is basically holding back the second half of the field all in his lonesome here.
Somebody's going to get mad here in a second. If you think about Mark Feil, that's right behind him, or Thomas Amos, somebody's going to have to move him. You see right here with Ryan Chandler in the 21st position. He's not too far behind getting to John Columbia to put himself in that position. He's up 10 positions. And we talked about passing not being at a premium either. If you look at the second half of this field from 12th on back, other than Baron Glover, everybody else is up double-digit positions. I mean, they're up 19, 13, 14 positions, putting themselves up and trying to take that gap away, because you already started a disadvantage here at any road course, but this one especially, to you lose track of the leader before you know it.
There's a big bobble there for Chandler. Gary Brown around the outside in turn 9. That was a great move. High commitment from Gary Brown. He doesn't want to wait up, and he's going to clear Ryan Chandler there. Chandler's still got to fight. I think Steven Martinez just got by him there, and one of the other Porsches is also going to navigate his way through. One little mistake there in turn 7 for Ryan Chandler has lost him 3 positions in the space of about 2 corners.
Can you say this name for me? Jod
Khalif.
Khalif. I thought I was right when I was about to say it, but I hate to sound like an idiot when I'm on these shows, especially with names.
Oh dear, there's Regan Chandler. One Chandler had bad luck half a lap ago. The other Chandler has spun around at pit entry, Terry. Oh dear, that's an awkward place to spin because there is a wall right there. I have to imagine he probably just clipped the curb on the outside, but let's see what happened. Oh, there he goes.
He caught the sausage curbs. That's the one thing I didn't do today. I didn't catch those curbs too often. I like those curves at racetracks. I don't know why. I think having that reference point right there that if you hit it, you're done. The turtles kind of give you that false sense of hope that you could go out there and experience it and be a part of it. Not with those big old jumps.
Gary
more
Brown.
contact. He's still making contact with people.
Yeah,
Get wrecked, son.
Gary Brown is kind of bullying some drivers here as he drives through the field. Just said, you know what, Jeff Fleischman, I'm going to dive it to the inside, and I might shove you out of the way to do so. I mean, it worked for him. Unfortunately, he also lost 2 spots in the space of doing that. Now he's got to fight with Ryan Chandler coming into turn 7 here. He's going to be able to turn in. He's going to make the corner. He's going to keep Chandler behind him. But now he's got to pass Jod Khalif all over again.
New favorite driver in any series. Sorry to anybody else in the PRL that's watching this that I call your race. New favorite driver right there. My
Gary,
man,
you got the Terry seal of approval.
Man, he drives like me. He drives just like me. But that time he got punted out of the way. He got moved up the track and got past there. He's also driving a little bit more aggressive with the drivers behind him. Not holding his line, not being tight in these corners. That a lot of things that you learn in road racing is stay tight and wash out, and then go back to being tight and wash it back out. That way you don't scrub any speed.
Joe McCauley in the 15 is going to get by Gary Brown, and that's because Gary Brown elects to bring it down pit lane here with 20 minutes to go. It's a little bit early. We normally expect the pit cycle to kick off around halfway in these races. 50% fuel capacity, or actually I think 40% fuel capacity in this series, 50% when we get to the sprint race a little bit later. A pit stop is not required by the rules, but a pit stop is required by the laws of physics. You cannot go this entire race without a pit stop, and it looks like Gary Brown is going to take advantage of some of his losses, try and minimize some of his losses, and he's going to kick off the pit cycle with 20 minutes to go.
That's smart. I mean, you'd be the first one to come in. He'd be the first one off. He only drops back to, I believe he's sitting 21st. If my timing is correct over here, you see Jod in the 20th position, trying to make the run right here. The driver in front of him, make sure I see that one correctly. Why's my timing being weird?
It's Ryan Chandler.
Chandler.
It's always confusing which Chandler it is. I still haven't remembered which one's in the Mercedes, which one's in the BMW. It's always difficult to tell, but I will remember one of these days. And it's easy now because Ryan's the only one left. Regan just spun. He's a little bit further back. So let's just remember Ryan for now.
Yeah, it's like remember the Titans there. We'll see how it goes. You see the 43 on your screen in a tight contested battle here. For this position, I believe that's for 10th, 11th, and 12th back here. A little further back, that's Matt Sheriff?
Matt Sheriff.
Ha ha ha! Look at me getting names right today. And that Porsche doing a good job. I would imagine you're not going to take this dive here, but he's going to take the dive into turn 1.
Yeah, he knows passing comes at a premium at Barcelona. Might as well go for it when you've got the chance, and he will displace Chris Colantonio out of the last spot in the top 10. I don't think Matt Sheriff has had a top 10 all of this season, so this would be his best result of the season here if he can hang on. But Colantonio's not giving up through the second half of that run up the hill. Colantonio has fought back. He's going to dive it to the inside in turn 4. The inside line might be the place to be for now, but once you get down into turn 5, it is not, in fact, the place to be. Nick Silver's just watching this battle with bated breath as they still go side by side down the hill, and they're still going to be side by side in the run down to turn 7.
Yeah, Nick Silver, RSR driver, called him yesterday, had a good run at the Homestead racetrack, and he's going to have to lean on a good run at Martinsville next week to put himself in the Final Four at Phoenix. Doing a good job here as well, watching this battle happen on in the 12th place position. He watched Sheriff go back and Colantonio, he goes back to the 10th place position after a good crossover move.
There's a lot of PRL RSR trade-offs. Of course, Nick Silver. I think there's one other
Brandon
that I don't remember.
Six.
Brandon Six in the Cup Series. There's Eric Papineau and Ross Cato. There's a lot of crossover. Maybe we'll have to figure out how to get one of them off of Monday nights and move one of them to Friday, so there's no more overlap, so we can get even more crossover.
Right. Well, then you have me. You know, I cover both, so I guess that kind of works.
So which one are we going to move to Friday? We'll move one of the Monday series to Friday. We'll talk about that at the end of the season because we want everybody crossing over. We want the drivers from F3 taking on the NASCARs. We want the stock car drivers taking on the F4s. We love crossover here at RaceSpot.
Well, I think that was actually something I wanted to talk about. I was hoping at one point in time when I have a Monday off, I want to come call that Monday PRL race in action with y'all. I always get to hear about it from you, but I don't ever get to. That's the one PRL show that I can't commit to doing. Every other day, I think this is. Have I done the Friday one yet?
The Friday one doesn't exist.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
that's why you haven't done it. That's why you haven't done it, because it doesn't exist.
So if that's the case, I've done every PRL show because tonight's my first time on the GT3s. I have to do a Monday so I can say I've called one of every PRL nights of the entire week.
You'll have to fight DJ for that one. We'll get the fight night going. We'll fly you out to LA and you can battle with him in hand-to-hand combat as Dale Peterson and Rodrigo Michelin battle hand-to-hand here into turn 5. Dale Peterson now clear of Michelin. Michelin, another driver who has had an incredible run through the field, qualified I think P40. If I remember correctly, basically last to the drivers who qualified. He's up 20 spots. He's currently running 21st, 22nd.
Well, joke's on you. RSR is almost over. So I got 2 more weeks, and then I can come call a Monday night show. I'll fight DJ for it. It doesn't matter. I'm good with my hands. But you see the 20. You see these drivers fighting for position. That should not be for position. It's I believe that would be.
That is for position. That's Greg Doucette trying to drive his way back up through the field. I could have sworn, oh dear, Joe McCauley is doing a little bit of Barcelona Rallycross. We don't have the PRL Rallycross series going yet, Joe, but give it a couple weeks. That is where the Rallycross course is here, so maybe he was getting a little bit of preparation there. He's going to let Fleischmann by now. He's going to lose about 6 or 7 spots, but the pit cycle continues here. 15 minutes to go. We're past halfway now. Aiden Hill is the next driver to bring it down pit lane, and I think he's just trying to get out a little bit of traffic.
Yeah, he had a good run through the field, though. I mean, he was sitting up there right inside that top 10, if not right outside the cusp of it. It was running really, really well, and early, but early enough. I mean, he's already on and off pit road. He only fell back down to the 26th position. He started 28, so it still gives him an opportunity once Fleischmann comes down, McCauley, Columbia, all these drivers start to come on pit road, or some of them that's had issues like Chandler, Peterson. We could put him back in that conversation, back up here in that top 10 convo with Brandon Six and Cole Antonio.
Just got a hashtag fact check in the chat from Samantha. She says it would be Matt Scherf's second top 10 of the season.
Job.
I said it would be his first top 10 of the season, but Samantha is in fact right. Matt got his first top 10 at Laguna Seca 2 weeks ago. He followed it up with an 11th place last week. He's currently running for 10th and 11th as well, so that could be a pretty good streak of 3 races for Matt Scherf. You might be rooting for a top 10, you might be gunning for a top 10 in this series, but when there's 40 plus cars showing up every week, basically being in the top half of the field in the top 20 3 weeks in a row is a heck of an accomplishment.
I would be lucky to finish. I would probably be a lap down before this is over. I openly admit here on RaceSpot that I am not your road course aficionado. I am your oval guy, but I want to learn this more. So with the grace and the love of the PRL and the wonderful people behind the scenes at RaceSpot, I get to come call these things, and I get to learn a lot from you. And Joey, maybe we should put Samantha in charge of this PRL sheet, as she has deemed to dethrone you here, my good sir.
I mean, that is entirely possible. Samantha already controls the scores for the British comedy radio panel show. I'm sorry I haven't a clue, so she might be taking over the whole world here. Looks like there was a little bit of argy-bargy in turn 1 between these 3 Porsches. Just as we mentioned Matt Scherf, I think he might have had a little bit of an incident with Chris Cole Antonio. Let's see, there goes Cole Antonio, and yep, certainly an incident with Cole Antonio. Just as we were talking about Matt Scherf's good run here, he gets a face full of neon yellow Porsche.
Well, he's still sitting in the top 10, so not a whole lot of damage to that Porsche right there. So he's still running pretty good. Scherf doing what he has to do, up 10 positions, waiting on the pit stop to happen. What I guess I could be a little surprised as the leader's going to come down. Floyd Kerr is going to make his pit stop. Was the closeness of this race lead. This track, not really racy. You normally are in a straight line like we talked about before. Anybody who's ever watched a race here or anything across the board, you kind of know that passing's hard. The fact that Kerr and Terrafino were that close, they were 0.8 of a second between them. That was pretty close to say, okay, neither one of them has made a mistake. Neither one of them has done anything wild. They've been right on top of each other this entire time.
11.5 seconds in the box for Floyd Kerr. Remember that when Terrafino comes in, because that is going to be a close battle off of pit road. Floyd Kerr has been looking at the track. He's been looking at his relative, trying to find an open place on track so he doesn't get stuck in traffic, and he has masterfully calculated that. He comes out directly ahead of Silver. No traffic in front of him for about 5 seconds. He's got completely clean track here to just go full qualifying mode and try and beat Terrafino. Once Terrafino comes in, you see it all kicking off. There's the Ferrari of, I think, Glenn Vanko, who had a little bit of trouble earlier on. Joe McCauley is diagonal in his pit stall, but he gets it stopped anyway. Dale Peterson's in as well. Andrew Rasmussen just came in. We're running to the hard end of the fuel tank here, and you have to imagine Terrafino will come in this time around.
There for a second, I kind of forgot that I was calling a race when you said Terrafino. I thought you were giving me a nickname. But no. Oh, no. Who's
Andres
that?
Espinosa. Off the road in turn 5. That's one of our championship contenders. He was running in the top 5. Does he have any suspension damage? It looked like he was getting a little bit wiggly there, but I don't think he does. Oh, he was just trying to race there with one of the drivers who had yet to pit. I think that was Angelo Veloz, who actually did pit. That was for position. And Espinosa tried to go for a switchback, and he just kind of lazily threw it off the road there.
I haven't done that yet. I haven't thrown it off the road, so I can't say that I have. I don't think I'm as quick as any of these drivers, but I feel like mistake-wise, I feel like I'd be pretty fine. I know I'm talking crap, but if anybody wants to throw it in there.
9.9, Terry. 9.9 for Terrafino. That's 1.5 seconds faster than Floyd Kerr was in pit lane. I think Terrafino might beat Floyd Kerr out here. Here's the rejoin, and he's easily ahead. That's almost a 3-second shift. That was a terrible run through pit lane for Floyd Kerr, and Michael Terrafino takes the lead back.
Yeah, but did they both take tires, or did they just take fuel?
Neither took tires. No, you don't take tires in this series. Unfortunately, the races are too short. That would be an interesting strategy maneuver if it was a possibility to take tires, but no, the races are too short. The tires are too durable, so it all comes down to fuel. And Michael Terrafino was a 1.5 seconds quicker on fuel.
Yeah, I mean he also ran it a little longer, so potentially going out there and having the opportunity to not put as much fuel in it. That I'm not surprised. I mean, they were only 0.8 of a second separating them there. And I mean, Kerr had the advantage, but maybe Terrafino was just kind of like being lazy and like hanging back behind him. And then when Kerr pitted, he put the gas down and really put a flyer on him.
That's entirely possible. I'm seeing Floyd Kerr bring that gap down a little bit, so we'll see if we can actually have a wheel-to-wheel tussle for the win here. Here is Floyd Kerr on your screen right now through turn 10. Again, the gap is coming down, so Floyd still clearly has a pace advantage over Terrafino, but he's only got about 8.5 minutes to go. If my calculations are correct, which they're probably not, that's going to be like 6 or 7 laps. It's one thing to catch Terrafino as well. It's another thing to pass him, especially at Barcelona. Kerr definitely has the pace, but it's an uphill battle for him now.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it with Terrafino, what does he have to prove? He's already up 2.5 seconds. He can click this time down, kind of save a little bit, and then the moment, if he gets closer somewhere in that 2 second to 1.5 second range, just put the lap down back on him. I mean, he's starting to gain back on him. It's 2.4, and it's been sort of kind of balanced in and out. You know, there hasn't been a very strong part for Kerr. There hasn't been a very strong part for Terrafino. They've just kind of been equal here.
Compare the lap times at the end of this lap to see if we can truly get hyped about a battle of the Titans here. because these are truly the two titans of the season. We've seen 2 wins from Espinoza. We've seen a couple of poles, a couple of wins from other drivers, but Terrafino and Floyd Kerr are the 2 championship rivals here. Floyd Kerr won last week. He won in week 1 after a titanic duel with Andrew Rasmussen. He probably would have won week 2 if he didn't get kicked out with VR difficulties and he had to quit the race because his frames were too jittery. And Terrafino should also have a win or a second place from Road Atlanta before he got wiped out by Matt Dinsmore backing it across the track. So both of these drivers have run into bad luck over the course of the season, and they're both going to meet on track here for a battle to the end. You can already see that Floyd Kerr has brought that gap down by about half a second, and we're about to reach lap traffic in one of the worst spots of the track. That's Ryan Luna up ahead, and one of the other BMWs, I believe, of Brian Hoskins, that Terrafino's going to have to deal with.
Well, he brought that down almost a full second there until they go into sector 3, and that's going to bring it up a little bit. Had him at 2 seconds, and now he's going to bring it back down. I mean, we put the battle graphic up here on the screen for you. It's getting super close, and if you're Terrafino, you're driving every inch of this racetrack as hard as possible. You see him; he swept off the racetrack, caught some gravel. He's going to try to catch a little draft off the cars up in front of him. But this is a miserable spot in Sector 1 to catch these drivers, and I hope he doesn't get to them in Sector 2 because then he's really in for trouble.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be in trouble if he reaches them in the chicane, especially. But Brian Hoskins in that new red BMW is going to be very, very kind here. Throw it offline in turn number 3 rather, and he'll let Terrafino through. He'll likely give the same amount of help to Floyd Kerr once he reaches him as well. But on that last lap, Floyd Kerr was 0.4 of a second faster than Terrafino. He brought that gap down to below 2 seconds now. You saw how much quicker he was through the second sector on the last lap. We'll see if he can be 0.2 faster again this time. Just looking to see if Brian Hoskins has gotten out of the way. Yes, he has. Brian Hoskins in that new bright red BMW has gotten out of the way of Floyd Kerr. And now it is a one-on-one battle again until Terrafino reaches Ryan Lewis.
I'm kind of curious if we could pull the sector battles up here for this, because through the entire lap, the entire body of work between these two drivers, it was not a big difference. It was a 1:44.85 to a 1:44.4. So you see sector 1 right here for Terrafino, 29.5. Good. Faster than what he did in qualifying, faster than what he did in sector 2. Sector 3, he's starting to struggle with this a little bit. He's pinching the corners a little bit. He's sweeping more, and you see Kerr. They're identical. There's not a whole lot of difference in separation between these two drivers.
Yeah, and there's been no advantage here on this second lap for Floyd Kerr. Terrafino's actually extended the gap a little bit. It's over 2 seconds now as he dispatches of Ryan Luna. He caught him at a perfect time on the front straight. Luna pulls over, doesn't even lose too much time himself, and Terrafino is clear up into the lead. Floyd Kerr now is going to have to dispatch of Ryan Luna all in his lonesome, and he's also running out of time to bring that gap down. I'm not sure if he has the pace here coming to the end, as things seem to have completely equalized with Terrafino.
Yeah, but we saw there that in sector 1 that Kerr was a little faster than Terrafino, but in 2 and 3, while it looked like Terrafino was struggling a tad bit in sector 3, he was actually going faster, which takes me back to the old slow is fast. Because he was just like grazing through these corners, getting all that he can, trying to get them as straight as possible. And it looked like he was backing it down quite a bit, trying not to overdrive it or drive off course. But he went out there and blistered him, and he pulled another 10th on him there. And he lost a half a tenth the lap prior, and then last lap he pulls a 10th all the way through and through. And he's extended it to 2.2 seconds on him as Aiden Hill's having a battle back here for 24th.
Aiden Hill getting a lot of TV time as he switches from the GT4s to the GT3s, side by side with Joe McCauley. They might be 3 wide coming into turn 1. They will be 3 wide, or they almost were. Aiden Hill blocks that off, and I think Regan Chandler smartly backed out of that. He did not want to go 3 wide, and he gets into Joe McCauley into turn 1. He backed out of it, and he ends up with a Joe McCauley in front of him. McCauley doesn't get any damage, but he got turned at turn 1.
Good place to get turned. I'm just kidding. It's never a good place to get turned. But, I mean, it was a good battle while it lasted across the board. I mean, all of these drivers here still fighting for the position, still trying to get every little bit possible out of this race. So we got 3 minutes to go. My math isn't good. Your math isn't good. It's probably about 2 laps across the board.
Exactly 2 laps to go.
Yeah. So, yeah, sure, we'll go with it. I was right for the first time. the battle for 17th with Amos, Peterson, and Chandler back here. This is going to be shaping up to a pretty good one here. It's over a blanket for both of them.
Yeah, famous Amos trying to hold off Dale Peterson. Dale automatically wins the Inter-D Peterson battle this week. Unfortunately, Dave Peterson and his fire-breathing McLaren isn't here this week, and Ryan Chandler loses it coming up the hill. That's a very weird place to lose the car. Luckily, there's a little bit of runoff there, a little bit of gravel and grass. He's going to be able to recover, but he's going to lose 5 or 6 spots, and that was bizarre. He's still getting loose. He's still losing the rear tires on that car.
Maybe he smoked him when he was going down into the corner, and that's kind of what that got him there. But you see him, he's going in here, sitting in the 19th position. I'm surprised they're catching the curbs as much as they are here. You see a lot of them straddling that sausage curb and just barely hanging the rights over it, just trying to get every little bit possible out of these cars while they can. I mean, you got 1 to go. It should be the white flag lap here when the leader comes around.
These guys who are so far back might as well have 2 to go. Almost a little bit of contact with, again, Aiden Hill, the hit maker of tonight. Almost gets into the back of Ryan Chandler as we see the LED strips on the Mercedes have started to become a light here. It's very dark in Barcelona. It's not even nighttime. It's just so cloudy. It is so dark. You would think it was about to rain. La lluvia, my high school Spanish memory serves me correctly. Look at those clouds. There's no rain in iRacing yet, but give it a couple more updates, hashtag soon, and this would definitely be the kind of race where it would be raining.
Oh, I can't wait for rain. I suck at road racing in the dry. I'm sure I'll suck at road racing in the wet, but how cool would that be to be driving down there and the rooster tail's coming at you, the windshield wipers turned on, and then it dries up, and then it rains again, dries up, rains again, kind of throws people off. I think I would do every endurance race for road across the board. I wouldn't miss one.
Roy Brown had a comfortable 3rd for a moment, but it has become very, very uncomfortable for him. Angelo Veloz has been catching him, and there's going to be a heck of a battle for P3. There's no battle, though, for Roy Brown's teammate, Michael Terrafino. He has been completely in control after that pit stop. I'm sure we'll talk to both of these drivers after the race. What happened to Floyd Kerr in that pit cycle? Why was he 1.5 seconds slower in the lane? And how the heck did he throw that lead away and get jumped by Terrafino? All those questions are going to remain unanswered for a few more moments, but the question that will not be unanswered is, can Michael Terrafino back up his record this season? That answer is yes. He's won 2 races this season. He arguably should have 1 extra podium that got stolen away from him. But in that BMW, after putting it on pole, he's going to navigate through the chicane for the final time with a 2.5 second cushion. He can basically crawl through the final corner now. And in the GT3 Fixed Series at Barcelona, Michael Terrafino wins race number 3 of the season. He's won half of the races this season, and he's victorious at Barcelona.
Good pit stop, got him up front, was able to get him into the race lead in that BMW, and you got to go all the way back down to the 7th place in Greg Doucette to find the next BMW. It was a Porsche and Audi show.
Roy Brown did hang on to the podium. You just saw him coming to the line. That'll be a great result for him. His first podium of the season. Veloz solidly in 4th, and Andrew Rasmussen, P5 with the fastest lap. We were talking in the pre-race, Terry, about how Andrew put on such a show at Road America. He was 1 corner away from winning a race. Couldn't quite match that for the rest of the season. He drove up 11 spots. He got the fastest lap. He finally got a top 5 again.
Yeah, good run. I kind of thought with the fastest lap he didn't do it by much, and he got it. He got it by 1/100th of a second. Got him there. So nothing too wild, nothing too spectacular, but he did it. Would you see Aiden Hill right here trying to fight off this shifty battle, going up behind him for the 22nd position. See if he can make it through the final couple corners and seal this up. It looks like he's going to seal it really well as he comes in 22nd and 23rd to...
Rodrigo Michelin brought it home, 23rd. 41 cars in the field tonight. So Aiden Hill not quite in the top half, as the 2 Chandlers have a little bit of a family rivalry there, coming under braking on the final lap. But that's a good debut for Aiden Hill. He got a lot of airtime, but if my memory serves me correctly, none of those accidents were his fault. That he was kind of around, and he brought it home clean. P22, almost in the top half of the field. Well, let's take a look at the full finishing results now that everybody has cycled through. Looks like everybody has finally finished. A lot of cars in the field tonight, but they were all headed by Michael Terrafino, who won over Floyd Kerr, who lost that race in the pits and couldn't chase Terrafino back down. Michael Terrafino's teammate Roy Brown finally gets a podium this season in P3. Angelo Veloz and the aforementioned Andrew Rasmussen finish off with a pair of great top fives. Espinoza, Morales, Sully Saad, and then a pair of RSR drivers, Brandon Six and Nick Silva, round out the top 10. P11 went to Chris Colantonio. Matt Scherf couldn't quite get his second top 10 of the season, but that's 10th, 11th, and 12th in a row for him. Mark Feil, Baron Glover, Alex Wright were the last drivers to be within a minute of the leader. Greg Doucette got into a little bit of trouble early on, but finished where he started, if my memory serves me correctly. And then 3 Ferraris and Famous Amos, Dee Peterson, and Glenn Vanko. Jod Khalif finished 20th. And the last car in the first half of the field, technically, or actually dead in the middle of the field, was Ryan Chandler. Aiden Hill made his debut very spectacularly. Rodrigo Michelin, Regan Chandler, Matt Dinsmore, Columbia, McCauley, Fleischman, and Cowgill were the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. Ryan Luna, Brian Hoskins, and Kyle Strykars and Kenny Rodriguez all went one lap down. And then we already get into the used car lot of drivers who had lots of trouble. It was a very bad day for Vulture Motorsports. Martinez, Brown, Kalaga, and Carollo all in trouble. Kenny Duval got into trouble early. Caranjas, Iturbe, and Andre Benatti round out the 41-car field that finished this race tonight, Terry. I'm almost out of breath. We're going to wait for our winner, Michael Terrafino, to come in. But before he comes in, you can talk to our second-place finisher, Floyd Kerr.
Mr. Kerr, what's up, man?
Not much. Tough race, but was quite a bit of fun, and congrats.
Yeah, let's talk about that pit stop for a second. So you come down pit road, you've had the race lead, and what happened?
I don't know. I've practiced pit entry a couple times, and it felt pretty quick. I wasn't flat out till the line, but I felt pretty quick through the pits. It felt pretty smooth, but he pulled full 4 seconds out of nowhere, and I couldn't close that back, making too many mistakes.
Yeah, you two seemed pretty even across the board. Lap times was about even. Was there a certain sector on the racetrack that maybe gave you a little bit more problems than what it gave Terrafino?
I think first sector / mid sector. With a new track will always come a bunch of mistakes, but for sure he definitely had me in that first and second sector. Third sector I seemed to be able to pull away before the main straight, but yeah, epic fight though, and very good clean racing from him.
Yeah, well, Barcelona, thank the sponsors to put that Porsche here on the racetrack.
Oh, sorry, say again?
I said thank those sponsors that put that Porsche on the racetrack here in Barcelona.
Yeah, for sure. Hardpoint Academy. Hardpoint Academy definitely been helping me with support, setups, and giving me the proper instruction I need for these races. But I'm hoping to bring them towards the top at the end of this championship, and definitely a higher position in this next race.
Well, I appreciate you joining us up here in the booth. Congrats on your P2 position. And Joey T, I think you got Roy Brown.
Indeed, I do. Still waiting on Michael Terrafino. If I remember correctly, he usually talks to us. But first, we're going to talk to Michael Terrafino's teammate, Roy Brown. You finally brought it on the podium. No bad luck. You kept it out of all the incidents, and you got a podium for it.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. This is a long time coming. A lot of hard work driving this Porsche. The last few seasons I've been driving the Ferraris, so it's been a big change driving the Porsche, so I'm happy to finally get a good finish. Put a lot of time into this track this week.
So talk us through those first couple of laps, because at least from our perspective up here in the Ivory Tower, it was chaotic. I can only imagine it was more chaotic from your perspective, advancing about 6 spots in one lap.
Yeah, so I haven't gone back and watched what incident happened going through, I think it's turn like 6. But yeah, there were cars everywhere. I kind of just found a line right through it, held my line in the middle, going around that fast right, and just pulled away. I was preparing for a night race. You know, all the official series have been night races, so I was looking at faster lap times, but I couldn't keep my tires cool. So I was sticking at about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds in front of the guy behind me. I ended up getting a good pit stop and came out in front of a couple lap drivers, which built me a gap. And you know, that last stint after the pit stop, I just could not keep my tires cool, so I was running wide all over the track. They caught up to me pretty quick. I was able to settle down for a few laps, and then that last lap was kind kind of an all-out push. I had to put my car, kind of in some odd lines to hold my position. I knew once I get to that hairpin left, there wasn't a chance for him to pass me. So I was just trying to hold out until that last hairpin, and I knew I'd have the podium. So happy with that run. It was a good race. It was a tough race.
We've always been fans of Team Beef here in the booth, but we promise we're not biased. But especially last season when there was just a big fat photo of an Italian beef on one of your cars, we were loving that. What's the idea behind Team Beef? How did a beef-themed, Portillo's-themed, Vienna beef-themed iRacing team come to be?
Oh, so this goes back to the first season. Me and my teammate back then, we wanted to do a Portillo's livery. And we came down to the wire on picking a team name. So we just went with Team Beef, and it kind of stuck. Everyone seemed to like it. Everyone seemed to like our paint scheme. It's easy to pick out when you're watching the broadcast. So, we kept that one for the Ferrari. So I still run the Portillo's on the Ferrari, but we decided to have a different paint scheme for the Porsche and the BMW.
I'm still certainly a big fan of that giant cartoon hot dog on the side of your car, but I'm not biased. But thanks for joining us here, Roy. Congrats on P3 again, and go tell your teammate Michael Terrafino he's got to come talk to us for his win.
Oh, I'm trying to get him on the interviews, but I'll go talk to him right now.
We'll talk to him one of these days. Congrats again, Roy, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Terry, that was Roy Brown, P3. We've got a few dying moments, I guess, to hope that he can convince his teammate Michael Terrafino to come back here. I've been hearing in our production chat that you might be in a virtual car right now, driving a lap around Barcelona. I think this might be a historic event. You're doing in-car commentary.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is so we had a bit of a debate to start our broadcast when I jumped in. I don't know. I didn't know what layout they were running tonight, so I ran a 152. And I seen everybody else was running the 143s and so forth and so on. I don't want to feel like the slowest driver on the track. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn a lap while we're waiting to go. I know you got things you have to read and say, and I figured this would be a good idea. And if I'm wrecking, then, you'll hear me mute the mic.
We will indeed solve the mystery of Terry being 8 seconds off the pace. I don't believe he's actually 8 seconds off the pace, but we'll figure that out. But I do have things to read and say, in fact, because it's time to go GT3 sprint racing in the Precision Racing League on Tuesday night. You're not done with your GT3 action just yet, so it's time to go for a 5-minute longer race and an open setup race at that here in the GT3 Sprint Series. Let's take a look at the championship standings for this series, because as mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the GT3 fixed and sprint schedules are exactly the same. We go to the same tracks for both series. So if you want to look at the schedule again, just rewind the broadcast about an hour. You'll see everything we talked about there. But here are those drivers' championship standings. It's Vincent Trepanier on top now because Sean Campbell has run into, can you call it bad luck? Can you call it, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but maybe stupidity, because Sean Campbell accidentally selected the McLaren when he was signing up for the race session at Snetterton last week, and that is a 20-point penalty guaranteed if you switch cars in the mid-season. So first, Sean Campbell took a 20-point penalty accidentally, and he would have to take another 20-point penalty to switch back to the Porsche. So he has elected to stick with the McLaren for the rest of the season. So suddenly this championship has become far more interesting, because it's Trepanier in the Porsche versus Campbell trying to wrestle a McLaren that he didn't necessarily want to drive. And then behind him, Diego Morales is also still in contention. Don't want to write him out. And then below that, there's quite a battle for fourth between Micheline Green, Martin Crisp, and Sean Dickinson. And then Arnaud Genet, Dave Menino, Gonzalo Cortez, and Ted Lowendick are also very, very close for that 7th place spot. Gonzalo Cortez not here tonight, unfortunately, but here's the AM standings in addition to the pro standings. Rob Campbell and Miguel Angel Fonseca separated by one singular point. This has been one of the most unpredictable series in the PRL this season. So many different winners, so many competitive drivers. Campbell, Fonseca, ZD, Bergstrom, Thurman, Carmody, all in mathematical contention. Ryan Patrick as well, 2nd place in the championship last season. He'll definitely be in contention as well. Don't count out Rutherford and Newhook and Deering as well. This is the most unpredictable championship in the PRL. And if you want me to predict who's going to win it, well, too bad, because that's not going to be possible. In the pro class, in the team standings, it is the newly named Unit Sim Sports Chrome Squad. It's no longer ASR Esports, and the livery proves it. It is now Unit Sim Sports, and they're still in the championship league despite the name change. RSR by Butt Kicker with Campbell and Ted Lowendick has suddenly taken a hit because Sean Campbell's trying to wrestle a McLaren for the rest of the season. SimCity Racing, We Race Esports, and Rust Racing round out the top 5. In the AM class, it's somewhat close. Lunatic Moonlight Speed Racing and Long Island Racing Team, or as we like to call it, LERT, are separated by 24 points. And then YS Motorsports Black, Hardpoint by Delta Sport Academy, AM, and SRT Esport Blue have all been competitive, but they don't quite have the bullets in the chamber as those other two, so they're a little bit further down in the order and might have a little bit more of a struggle fighting for that championship. But Terry, that's enough of me talking. We're finally ready for qualifying here in GT3 Sprint. The clock has finally ticked over, and we're ready to go qualifying once more in a little bit lighter conditions.
Yeah, in a little bit more different track conditions for me, as I'm still sitting in the virtual sim behind the wheel, trying to make some turns around here, figuring out what I need to do to get this thing to stick. It's a whole lot lighter grip than what I just felt with the cloud cover. Now with the sun beating down on this track, sun starting to peek down over the horizon a tad bit, kind of blinding in some corners, but kind of picked up some speed, it feels like, and it is harder to get on the brakes because the speed definitely has picked up here in these GT3 cars.
Watching a little bit of outlappage here for the beautiful new Unit Sim Sports livery. I mentioned it a little bit last week. I mentioned how I always am kind of biased towards neon yellow liveries. They've got neon yellow, they've got dark shiny purple, and they've got carbon fiber black as well. So whoever painted this new Unit Sim Sports livery, they actually did tell me who did that. So I will remember your name and I will give you a shout out later on in the broadcast. Congratulations, that is a beautiful car. We'll see if it puts up some beautiful lap times here as we waiting a little bit for the timing to load up here, waiting for some technical things to work out, and let's ride on board with some technical things here inside this Porsche GT3 car. Let's let the car do a little bit of speaking for itself. On board with the number 312 of Arnaud Genet, letting the Porsche just sing on its own for a little bit, letting us rest our voices and letting the Porsche really exercise those exhaust muscles. This is a timed lap for Arnaud Genet as he drives into the sunset up over the top of the hill. That is blinding sunlight even in the sim. I'm sure it's not as blinding as it would be in real life, but it still seems like it's blinding you as you drive basically directly into the sunlight.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a feel for the racetrack, and when you come down into the first sector, you can't see nothing. I mean, you just can't. It's just absolutely blinding. You get over here towards the last portion of this racetrack. I mean, absolutely just kills you to get down into. I believe this would be turn 9, turn 10 area. There's just nothing. Nothing to be seen, and it makes it even more difficult to go into these hairpins right here and try to make your lap even faster.
Just been told by Alex Fournier that it was JWC Design that designed that Unit Sim Sports livery, so shout out JWC Design. Great stuff there, and a remastered team livery for ASR Esports. Always the participatory team here in the Precision Racing League. I think they have drivers and cars at just about every series we run here. So does YS Motorsports. I think YS Motorsports might actually take the title of that, because I don't think there's a single series in the Precision Racing League where there isn't a single Yellow Stripe Motorsports car. On the oval side, on the road side, there's a YS Motorsports car, I think, in every single one of those sessions. Let's see if this YS Motorsports driver can keep up the rich tradition in the traditional kind of bumblebee livery for YS Motorsports. Coming up over turn 9. there's some difficult track limits there, Terry. It's easy to get an off track, and when you only have 4 laps to play with, you've got to be careful playing with those track limits.
Yeah, I tried not to go over the track limits here. I ran a 147, so nothing too wild. I wasn't that far off. Maybe I did run the wrong idea of the thing earlier, but you see the pro machine here of Tommy Brisson doing a good job, keeping it tight, keeping it really, really clean throughout these corners, getting a little bit of the curb, not too much of the curb, to really make a difference, to change the balance of the car. And coming out of the final corner, where this sets him, should be a good 143, 8th.
Great lap there for Tommy Brisson. Micheline Green also improves to go up to 6th. There's a lot of improvement on the track. 2 of the Unit Sim Sports drivers, Vincent Trepanier and Caven Norris, also improve. So that puts Unit Sim Sports 5th, 6th, and 7th together. Robert Goff, a familiar name for you, Terry, on Wednesday night, one of our Truck Series drivers, going for 2 nights in a row in the PRL. He's here on Tuesday night. He's going to cross over the line for not an ideal lap, down in the 151s, but I think he might have had a little bit of a mistake in the middle sector, and he'll definitely improve on this coming lap here. Robert Goff back on the clock for another lap. He is not the only driver. I thought he was the only driver here tonight because I didn't see Mark Kalin, but Jeff Evans is also here. So there's 2 drivers crossing over from Tuesday and Wednesday.
Hey, my peoples are crossing. There's Morales there. He's sitting P2 right at the moment, trying to catch Crisp. We'll see what this lap time does as it comes across here, but it's always good to see people crossing over and doing double duty and pick a different genre to reset.
I'm sure we will see Jeff Evans here in the dying 3 minutes, but he may or may not also have a Miracle Flow GT3 livery. So we'll see.
Hey.
We'll see if we get to that a little bit later. Diego Morales, this is his best chance to fight for pole. There are currently 12 thousandths of a second between him and Martin Crisp for pole position here. Sean Campbell is also in touching distance. He's only 43 thousandths off. But Diego is the first driver on track right now to try and challenge that, playing with the track limits. Still kept 2 tires within the white line, though, so that's important to do through the final chicane here. Neat and tidy. Doesn't clip either of the big sausages on the inside. A little clip of the one on the outside. Through the final corner, let's see what Diego Morales has here. Has he found 12 thousandths over the course of that lap? He brings it to the line. He hasn't just found 12 thousandths, he's found 2 whole tenths. Diego Morales goes to pole.
That was a massive lap. I need to come watch him turn some laps around here, because this is a fun racetrack. Very technical, very clean. You know, everything you do here. Look at the flames coming out of that back end. That thing is hot.
Sean Campbell messaged me a little bit earlier this week saying, you know what, the McLaren kind of sucks at Barcelona. I'm not feeling good about this. I think I'm going to be fighting for about 10th. Well, he's about a 10th of a second off a pole right now, and he's tracking to improve. He does improve. He's going to hop up to 2nd now. Still a 10th behind Diego Morales. But that's not 10th place, Sean Campbell. That is 2nd place and still within touching distance of this win in that McLaren.
Yeah, and he's the only one, obviously, in the McLaren. So he's got to have some type of pride out there to see what he can do. But you see Vincent Trepanier. I thought I had that one right, but I didn't.
Or Trepanier, if you want to decrease the syllables.
Trepanier works. I won't mess that one up. But I'm sure there's people watching this going, man, who's this crazy Southern dude that's on this broadcast? Hi, how are y'all? This seems fun. But he's sitting 5th, and right now he's tracking to have a much better lap than what he had before.
Yeah, Vincent Trepanier, there's clearly improvement on the track. You saw Diego improve. You saw Sean Campbell improve. Let's see if Vincent Trepanier can improve as well. Little hop of the curb as well. A lot of drivers just taking a little bit of a bite out of it. Let's see if Vincent has about half a second in the tank here. Alec Bergstrom jumps to 7th, and Vincent Trepanier jumps to 4th. He's found about half a second. Wasn't quite enough to beat Martin Crisp, but he puts himself on the 2nd row. I've also been corrected in the chat once more by Matt Scherf. I was double wrong. That was actually his, it would have been his 3rd top 10 of the season, because he also finished in the top 10 at Road America earlier this season. So Matt Scherf has been undersold by me this week. I'm sure I'll repay the favor next week to him. Vicente Sepulveda here up the hill. He already knows that this lap is kind of been thrown away. The final lap racing driver knows that this is his final lap, and he's just having a little bit of fun here, taking one of the alternate layouts.
Well, Jeff Fleshman out there in the chat, new favorite driver for punting people. Indeed, indeed. I love it when drivers are overly aggressive. It gives us something to talk about, especially when there was nothing else to talk about. So yeah, I like it when people are aggressive.
Qualifying has come to an end here, and Diego Morales, for only the second time in his PRL GT3 career, is on pole. Sean Campbell thought he was going to come in and finish 10th here in qualifying and be half a tenth off of his teammate, rather. He's in second. Martin Crisp puts it P3, and Vincent Trepanier in another Porsche is alongside him in fourth. J.R. Williams is fifth. Arnaud Genet is sixth. P7 went to Alec Bergstrom, who's on AM pole, actually. He's out-qualified a ton of pros. Ted Lowendick. Sean Campbell thought he was going to be half a second off Ted Lowendick. Instead, Ted Lowendick is 9/10 off Sean Campbell in P8. Kevin Norris is P9, and Mitchell Ian Green rounds out the top 10 in P10. Sean Dickinson and Dave Menino are row number 6, and then it's Tommy Brisson and last season's F3 AM champion Ryan Pucktel in 14th. Alex Caruso and Mark McDonald round out the pros, at least for now. And then second and third in AM, Eric Dubé is second, and Jeff Evans qualifies third in AM. That is a great qualifying for the Wadaback driver. Nathan Deering right behind him. Thomas Dunn, another pro, is 20th. Darren Rutherford, an AM. Vicente Sepulveda, a pro. And then 2 more AMs, and Sean Carmody and Turner Schroll. 25th went to Nick McLaughlin, a pro. He's further down than he would like as well. Christopher Rhine starts alongside him. Last week's winner, Miguel Angel Fonseca, starts alongside Blake Seedy. Then Rob Campbell and Marc-Andre Desjardins, 2 of the fastest drivers normally in qualifying, a little bit further down than they would like. Brett Thurman and David Morse start right behind and ahead of each other for SRT Esports. Ryan Patrick and Colin McKenzie for Lunatic Moonlight Speed start near each other. And last but not least, Robert Goff will start 34th before he sets off in the Truck Series once more tomorrow night. But we've got 40 minutes of GT3 action to go here, Terry. Actually, fewer cars on the grid than in the fixed series, oddly, but still 35 cars and a Pro-Am split. We saw how crazy it got last time out. We can only hope for even more tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting race. I mean, you look at some of these drivers that are out here, and to see the one McLaren go out there. You talked about Sean Campbell driving it last week, 20-point penalty, can't go back. Don't want to take a bigger penalty, make it 40 points all the way around. Says, oh, it's not that fast. He's up there in second. Not too bad though for the 66 either in that Mercedes, putting her up in front of a lot of pro drivers as well.
And we hope that there's no calamity on the warm-up lap coming into the chicane here. There's always the possibility of people running into each other. If you've ever run a GT3 official race on iRacing, you know that there's always some losers here at the chicane. But this is the Precision Racing League. We've got some great drivers here, great strength of field. Nobody's going to run into each other. It's a far more packed up start as well here through the final corner, but it's still a jump from Diego Morales. I think he's already gone, and we're green once again at Barcelona, and there's a huge jump for Diego Morales. Sean Campbell a little bit further back is trying to follow him in the draft.
You see him fan out behind them here, trying to dip into turn 1. They're still side by side all the way through the field. Somebody trying to take it 3 wide a little further back, but they've got to get it all organized here as we can see Calamity again.
A little bit of a bobble for Sean Dickinson in that BMW, but he was able to recover, get back in line here. It's almost a train back to 10th place. The first instance of side-by-side is one of the Unit Sim Sports drivers, rather. Had to correct myself there, of Kevin Norris trying to fight with the AM leader of Alec Bergstrom. They're still side-by-side a little bit further back, coming down into turn 5. Bergstrom is in a hornet's nest of pros here. He doesn't want to lose the AM lead, but he also wants to keep as many drivers as he can between him and his rivals. Side by side with Dave Menino, and he gets turned by Dave Menino. Coming into turn 7, the leader in AM is suddenly going to drop all the way to the back of the field. He was fighting a little bit too hard there with Dave Menino coming into the corner. Now Jeff Evans takes the lead in AM.
I mean, that's one way to lose that position is fighting. You start to pinch people over towards the curb, and that's what happens there.
Whoa, Eric Dubé couldn't get it slowed down. Jeff Evans loses the lead now, and Nathan Deering, who started about 4th, takes over the lead in AM. And there's more calamity in the background. Sean Carmody involved in the Carmody of errors. I think he got bowling balled there in turn 10 by a few other drivers. it was entirely clean up front other than Alec Bergstrom, but it all kicked off from about 20th back.
Yeah, I mean, the AM class is having a bit of a catastrophe across the board. You see the Miracle Flow Waterback driver right here, Jeff Evans. He had it for a brief second. You mentioned it in the moment you said he had the lead. Everything goes awry. And now you have Deering holding it right there in the 15th position, holding the lead for this AM class. This has been not the ample start for your AM drivers. Every time somebody has the lead, they tend to get wrecked.
P15 currently occupied by Thomas Dunn. Actually, Nathan Deering is up to P15. No, he's not. He's not up to P15 overall. He's P16 overall, but that is your AM leader that you're currently looking at right now. Vicente Sepulveda in the middle there in that red BMW. That's a pro driver. And then Nathan Deering's teammate, Turner Schroll, is behind for second in AM. Jeff Evans behind is still third in AM. And then last week's winner, Miguel Angel Fonseca, fourth in AM, is also on your screen. That's first to fourth, and then even fifth in the background with Darren Rutherford in AM, all covered by about 1 second.
Yeah, this would be should be the closest battle that we see all race long with the AM class. You see up here in the pros, Morales and Campbell, they're right on top of one another, and Chris starting to work his way back into this as well. But your AM drivers, they have not left each other's sight the entire time. They've been right here, 16th, 18th, 19th, and 20th, all separated between 5 seconds. So I would imagine that this is going to be the one series, or the one class that is up for grabs all night long.
Through the chicane here, couple of clunks to the curb, some differences in line, some arguments over that, a little bit of dust kicked up, I think, by Turner Schroll there. Jeff Evans was able to make it through. I think he had a little bit of a troubled time getting through the chicane, but he made it through. Up front, Diego Morales has just set the fastest lap of the race over Sean Campbell, but they're not leaving each other either. There is no separation throughout this field. There's a few drivers on pit road already. Sean Carmody, who took a lot of damage after, I think, getting bowling balled in turn 10. We'll load that up when we can. We'll get the replays spooled up. But Sean Carmody, the only driver on pit road in the 35-car field after that lap 1.
Well, I mean, we had the checkup all the way back through the field, but to only have one car come down pit lane, that's a testament to some of these drivers' maneuverability to move out of the way, to miss the calamity that happened through these corners. But I know we're looking right now at our AM class, but our pro class, they just went up there and set dang near identical lap times between Morales and Campbell. It was a 1:42.8. Oh no, they're wrecking.
Nathan Deering makes it through, but that was one of the pros of Thomas Dunn, who went around at the head of the train, just made a little mistake coming into turn 7. I was honestly looking away there. I didn't see if he clipped the grass, but Thomas Dunn off in the big gravel sea. He's going to fall all the way to the back of this train, and I think that is a damaged Porsche. I think he might have gotten a little bit of help. There is another car up ahead that I think he may have made contact with.
Yeah, we'll see the replay whenever that gets queued up of what happened there. I looked over for a second at the lap times and then turned back over, and bam, everybody's spinning. So that's not smart. Let's not go 4 wide or 3 wide right there. Let's hold it together here as we continue to drive through this beautiful course. The sun's still blinded. Oh, off course for one. Who is that?
Robert Goff is off indeed. That was a great save. He was saving that thing for about 5 seconds, and he finally gets it going again. But in that AM battle with Desjardins and Bergstrom and Patrick, Robert Goff loses quite a bit of ground there, kicks up a little bit more dust in the exit of the corner. He's able to recover, but he was certainly a scared driver there. Another driver falling down a little bit. The battle for the podium, Miguel Angel Fonseca moves forward. Jeff Evans falls backwards to 4th.
Yeah, he falls back 1 position, but he's still got the fight hanging on back there to the back bumper of him. Not falling off too much. As we take a look at the replay here, what happened in this incident. Bam, around it goes, blocking all the way through, and Bergstrom just goes off into the dirt. And then you see here's Sean in the 40. Let's see what happened here.
It's Rob Campbell under braking in the background, but it wasn't him. It was the BMW. It was the SRT Esports number 111 of Christopher Rines that ended up punting Sean Carmody around. That didn't look like a heavy impact, but clearly it was heavy enough for Sean Carmody to be forced to bring it down pit lane. Marc-Andre Desjardins makes it through. A little bit of a rejoin from Blake Ziti there. Might have caused some trouble. No, it wasn't Blake Ziti. It was another SRT Esports BMW. Those guys might have the snowplows out in front of them. Let's see what happened to Brett Thurman a little bit further back. Actually, Alex Caruso, rather. Not Brett Thurman. Did he do exactly the same thing as Alec Bergstrom? No, he lost it all on his own. Just clipped the grass.
Oh, and then,
He almost got bowling ball as we cut away there.
and then he got slammed there as well. Locked up, and everybody wanted to miss that wreck.
Whoa.
Bam! Oh, and then around he goes.
Eric Dubé around up into turn 9. Lots of drama in the AM field tonight. There's no safe place to be, apparently. But Vicente Sepulveda, a pro driver, versus Turner Schroll, an AM driver, into turn 1. Battle of the BMWs. Trying to make it hard point by Delta Sport 1 and 2. Well, it is already 1 and 2 in class, but now it's 1 and 2 on the track. 14th and 15th in line. Turner Schroll dispatches of Sepulveda.
Yeah, it's a good battle going on here between two different classes, and the overall win still up for grabs. Just kidding. It seems Morales is starting to walk away, but you have an opportunity to go out there and pull that upset off if you're one of these AM drivers. But I mean, you see Deering, he still holds that 15th or the 14th position. Schroll holds the 15th position there overall, second in the class. But this battle hasn't fallen off right here. These two drivers, 16th and 17th, they have really stayed on top of one another through the entirety of this racetrack.
We saw a message on the PRL Discord before this race from Gonzalo Cortez. He said that work caught up with him. He wouldn't be able to make the race tonight at his favorite track. He was looking forward to watching the broadcast back. But we were supposed to have a 35-car field here. I just noticed that we have a 36-car field. And with no practice, no qualifying, Gonzalo Cortez has made the grid. He has made the field. He's currently running P31, so he's probably still getting his bearings here. But Gonzalo Cortez is here.
Yeah, I mean, he made it by the hair of his chin, but he got into the race. Not the run he probably wanted, but I mean, he's still faster than most of the drivers in front of him. He actually picked up really quick because he's only half a second off of the fastest lap of the race from where he sits back there in that 31st position. So still got 30 minutes to go. Driver overshot the corner there.
And that was Mark McDonald getting a little bit happy with the runoff area there. That's the thing about Barcelona. We talked at Snetterton last week about how there's no real runoff. There's just grass, and you get instantly punished if you make any mistakes. We saw Mark McDonald last week kind of end up in a farm that we didn't even know existed at Snetterton, but at Barcelona, you get a little bit of help. There's quite a bit of asphalt runoff, and there's some places where mistakes are heavily punished, and you end up in a sea of gravel, but that's not one of them at turn 1.
Well, this is probably the most interesting onboard we've went to. His whole body's moving with it. He's really turning that thing. Facial expressions. He's in this. He's a Kevin Norris. There's like a little Chuck Norris beard going on, like a little Walker Texas Ranger. Look at that facial expression. He's like, oh, I just messed up. I let him go by. As in the eyes of the Ranger, the unsuspected stranger, he'd better know the right from the left. No Walker Texas Ranger.
We'll save the Walker Texas Ranger references for when we go to Texas again in the truck series, which I imagine that'll be pretty soon. Maybe in the first season of next year, we might go to the old Texas in the iRacing official series. So we'll break out more Walker Texas Ranger references. I'm sure you've got a costume somewhere in the closet.
The eyes of the Ranger are upon you. No, I don't know if I have a Chuck Norris one in there. I got a chicken head though.
I can only do the Andy Griffith Show theme song. That's just because that's only whistling.
I'm all for it. I do need to get a Barney Fife or an Andy Griffith costume. I know we have Halloween RSR, so I'll be in costume for that.
Well, I told DJ last night, half jokingly, that I would dress up as DJ Clark, but he kind of made me commit to that. I think I might have to commit to that next week. I don't have any sunglasses, so I don't know how I'm going to do that.
I think you have. I mean, you've kind of put yourself in a box. I can't say I'm going to dress up as Joey Tebbin and then not do it. I haven't picked out my costume for next Monday night for RSR. Evan's also not going to be there. I think he's going to be doing something for Monster Jam. So I kind of get away with whatever when he's not there. I wore a Macho Man Randy Savage outfit at one point in time.
Caven Norris, star of the PRL reality show. Not on camera anymore, but Alex Fournier giving him a shout out. Always good to see the Unit Sim Sports teammates united in the chat. Fournier giving his teammates some cheering on, and I'm sure we'll see Caven in the F3 chat a little bit later this week when Alex Fournier is on track trying to fight for those wins. Caven Norris fighting for P9 here, and he's kind of running away from Sean Dickinson here. That's why we're talking about Halloween. There's not much other action on track to talk about right now.
Yeah, and for people that are watching this and not watching the Coke, Steven Wilson has an opportunity, 51 laps to go to win the championship over there in the Coke series. So that championship race happening tonight, and it's going to be super awesome. But Halloween's going to be a good time. I don't like trick-or-treaters coming to my house because they don't deserve candy, and plus I don't like kids. So yeah, bit of a lose-lose for the neighborhood people.
Looks like things might be heating up a little bit further forward for Mitchell-Ian Green and J.R. Williams, or actually even further ahead. Arnaud Genet has caught up to his teammate Vincent Trepanier, who's also caught up to Martin Crisp. So we've got quite a battle for the podium going on here with Crisp and Trepanier and Arnaud, and even Ted Lowendick behind. We watch Arnaud Genet now. I think that's a new camera angle. Normally we're head on with him, but he's gone for a little bit more of the Jerome Berthiaume angle, a little bit high up. Two nice wheel rims in the background, and always the branded drivers, these Unit Sim Sports guys. His whole room is purple. Yeah,
look at those rims. They're mismatched. I don't believe that they're not the same rim. So maybe maybe if he gets a podium or he comes and talks to us from the P5 position, if this is where he sits, he'll tell us what those rims go to. But I would imagine that the first rim, a little closer to the monitor, that would look really good on I would put that on a Camaro or a Monte Carlo, and the wheel behind that I would put it maybe on a Honda, only because, you know, I don't know if Hugo knows the most Americans that drive Hondas and soup them up, but that's what I would put that on.
Arnaud taking a little bit of a chance to reset the old glasses. You've got a long straight at Barcelona. You can rest your hands. You can rest the rest of your body before you got to get focused again here. Under braking into turn one. Martin Crisp trying to hold back a pair of Unit Sim Sports drivers. You look a little bit further back. Ted Lowendick's about 2.3 seconds behind Arnaud Genet in this battle, so he's got a little bit of ground to make up, but if they start fighting, that's exactly what Ted needs to bring that gap down.
Yeah, you're going to have to put qualifying laps down across the board. If you look at Campbell up here, what in the world is this?
That was actually just a Jeopardy question today. I got this. None of our second chance competition players got it. That's the running of the bulls at Pamplona, and the Jeopardy question was this festival in Pamplona, the running of the bulls, is named after this saint. It's San Fermin. I remembered that. None of the contestants did. Jeopardy, give me a call.
Yeah, I kind of want to run with the bulls, but I'm slow and dumb. I'm dumb enough to run with the bulls, but slow enough to get smacked by the bulls. But that would be fun. I would love to see you on Jeopardy. I bet you have some useless knowledge in that noggin of yours that would work.
Well, literally last week on Thursday afternoon, I did my third stage of the auditions, and are you impressed, Culver City? If you're impressed, please call me. I've been looking at my phone every single day, hoping that Culver City number calls. I'm in the contestant pool, but I gotta wait 18 months to hope that Jeopardy calls me and puts me on the show, but I hope they do. And also, Terry, I think we spend enough time running with the bull for about an hour every night on Wednesday, so we don't need any more of that.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I don't know if that's copyrighted or trademarked yet, but you should say Brett Thurman right here. Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
Merv Griffin's going to break down your door. Blake Zeddy's in the pits. And let's watch Brett Thurman for a little bit. I've actually never seen Brett Thurman's face. I think this is the first time he's been on Zoom for us.
He looks good.
Not harboring any resentment for Brett Thurman, because That was one of the 2 instances last season in the F3 series in the PRL where I got taken out before the start-finish line. The first time was my teammate Colin Heffernan because his whole computer pooped itself right at the start and his car wouldn't start. I had nowhere to go. I ran into the back of him. 2 races later, Brett Thurman stalled on the grid. I ran into the back of him at Sonoma. So that was 2 races where I was technically on the track for a negative amount of time. But like I said, no grudges. It was his computer's fault, and he's doing a good job tonight.
Like only you can have negative time on a racetrack. I've never heard negative time.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. It's that Doofenshmirtz thing. It's happened. I don't even remember the quote anymore, but it's crazy stuff.
Yeah. Oh, just like Smokey the Bear.
If I had a nickel for every time it happened, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's still crazy that it happened twice.
You could buy a whole nothing.
Behold my nothinginator. That's probably copyrighted too. We're going off the rails here.
We're canceled.
Doofenshmirtz impressions. But Brett Thurman's, like I said, he's doing a good job here tonight. He's fighting with Ryan Patrick in that ever familiar lunatic Moonlight Speed Racing livery. It's tough to pass at Barcelona. How many times have we said that tonight? Brett Thurman's finding that out firsthand.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy. It also isn't easy for me to convince my wife to bring me popcorn. I'm working this one, still working this as hard as possible. I could really go for some popcorn. Honey, if you're watching, I want popcorn.
BMW in the draft is actually closing up to the back of Ryan Patrick. We're going to see an attempt at a move from Brett Thurman for the first time, but he's not quite close enough into turn 1 to actually go for it. But he's putting the pressure on Ryan Patrick. He's certainly making this a battle, but Ryan Patrick finished 2nd in the AM Championship last season. He won, if my memory serves me correctly, 3 races. So he's certainly a tough customer to pass, and Brett Thurman got close on that last time. Might just need a little bit better of an exit through the final corner once we come around there again.
And we'll see if he's able to kind of sweep these corners and get a better break into the entry. Off exit here, you really don't want to get side by side with somebody and push them off the racetrack because then it sets you up for danger as well. Brett's doing a good job utilizing the entirety of the racetrack, as Sean out there thinks that your impersonation was actually pretty good.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it again. I'll save that. We can break out Doofenshmirtz a little bit later in the season next time when I see Sean Mulholland again on the GT4 broadcasts. I'll think about breaking that out again. Sean should be in the field tonight. You know, he's a YS Motorsports driver. He's part of that huge stable. We should get him in the GT3s again. Alex Fournier as well. Very, very strong open wheel driver. He would be another great driver to have in this series. The strength of field in this GT3 Sprint Series is kind of insane enough already, but it could get even more insane when we get a couple more drivers in here next season. Vincent Trepanier, of course, championship leader. He's one of the only drivers in the field that wasn't a champion last season. I believe at round 1 of this season in the GT3 Sprint Series, we had 6 of last season's PRL champions on the same grid. It is just an insane level of driving ability here.
Ew. My wife just asked me if I wanted pumpkin popcorn. That's not even a thing. But Crisp is having a good fight back here. Not too crazy of a fight. Nothing too wild. But I'm going to say Vincent because I've kind of forgotten how to pronounce his name already. Trepanier and Crisp are having a good battle here for the P3 position. They have yet to pit. We've only had 4 that have come down pit road, and one of them is no longer on the racetrack. But Trepanier having a good time back here, going through the hard right-hander, the sweeper here. Wasn't able to get on throttle there.
Yeah, a little bit of Trepanier trepidation on the throttle there. He's sticking with Martin Crisp, but he's having a lot of trouble just breaking the dirty bubble. We talk about the dirty bubble on ovals in the next-gen cars, in the trucks, but it's true on these GT3 cars as well. They've got a little bit of downforce, they've got a little bit of aero, and it does provide a little bit of aero wash, especially in those long sweeping corners.
Yeah, and you definitely have the wake that goes through these cars, but I do like the dirty bubble out there. Oh, who's that spun?
Blake Ziti is spun at turn 1. He's already a lap down. I think he might have actually just been exiting the pits. So we'll try and diagnose what happened to Blake Zeedy there. He was having a good run. He was, I believe, around P5 racing with Darren Rutherford, and he has looped it around at turn 1. He's already towed it back to the pit, so I wonder if he has a little bit of damage. Let's see what happened to Zeedy. There it is, through turn 1. He was already losing it as he drove into the sunlight, and I think that might be an Alt F4 for Blake Zeedy.
I mean, I would hit it. Carried a little too much speed down there in the corner. Lost the back end, and it happens. Still trying to convince my wife to popcorn update. She still says no.
Well, you said no to pumpkin popcorn. Beggars can't be choosers.
I don't want pumpkin popcorn. I don't even like pumpkin. It's a dirty. It's just dirty.
It's dirty. Pumpkin. That's PRL book of quotes. Terry's finally made it. Pumpkin is dirty.
Yeah, pumpkin's dirty. It makes no sense why people pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin spice this. How about a pumpkin spice take care of your car? How about a pumpkin spice take care of whatever else? I don't want to eat pumpkin. I don't even want pumpkin pie.
That's a step too far. That's a step too far. Dissing pumpkin pie. We ride on board with Miguel Angel Fonseca here. This is a new perspective. We haven't seen this before, and it's kind of weird because Miguel Angel Fonseca is a VR driver. Normally, we're looking at him in VR. We're looking at his face with his headset on, but instead, we're looking at the representation of his VR on his monitor.
Hey, he's watching us. He's watching our broadcast. I don't know if he can see that he's on said
or here.
Broadcast.
Oh, I think that might have just been an unsafe pit entry for one of the hard point by Delta Sport drivers right ahead of Miguel Angel Fonseca. Turner Schroll just came into the pits, but I think it might have been too late. I think he might have clipped the red line there. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that. I honestly haven't played with the pit entry here, but that was close stuff for Turner Schroll, and he misses his box for good measure. So we'll just wait for the time here. If that was an unsafe pit entry, if that was a little bit too late of an entry, we'll see if he's in the box for about 30 seconds. No. So Turner Schroll got away with that. False alarm, but he did overcook his stall a little bit.
Yeah, he overcooked it, and quite honestly, he did. I thought he missed it too. He was super close to missing it there, but you see the merge that happens here. You have a decent enough spot to get up some speed to get down into one, and that almost got hairy there. He almost made contact.
And Dave Menino trying to get to the outside, trying to peek to the outside of Turner Schroll, couldn't quite do it. But remember back to lap 1 when our AM pole sitter Alec Bergstrom kind of squeezed Dave Menino into the grass and spun himself? Well, now Dave Menino has to battle with another AM driver, and I'm sure he's having a couple of flashbacks here, and he's probably going to hang back on Turner Schroll here. But under braking into turn 5, no tire changes in this series either, but still, just by virtue of being stopped for a little bit, Schroll's going to be still warming those things up. Dave Menino on much warmer tires here. Under braking into turn 7 now, he is closing. But what are you doing here, Dave Menino? Are you going to go for the move on Turner Schroll, even if you're not actually fighting for position because you're in 2 different classes?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go overboard and try to fight as much as possible. But, I mean, you see Menino, he's trying to get this position. He's trying to go to the 25th position here. I don't believe that the 3 has pitted either. He has not come down yet. So, I mean...
Yes, he has.
Oh, maybe see, my timing's all crazy over here.
Your timing has been struggling, Terry. You said Andrew Waring had 15 instant points at COTA last week.
Yeah, this thing's dumb.
I'll make sure you don't name them and shame them, but yeah, they're on Struggle Street over there. They might need to make some updates. But Menino in the 3, Schroll in the 4, both of them have pitted, so this is a battle for position on track. It's just not technically a battle for position in the results because it's pro versus am.
Yeah, I mean, we continuously see all these drivers. I mean, this race has strung out. It has strung out completely across the board. I mean, the times have kind of picked up here. I mean, you've got Morales still ran the fastest lap time with the 1:43.6. You got drivers starting to get down into the 1:43.7s finally for the first time for Pucktel. I think that's how you say it. Pucktel. That's there.
Better than most people. It took me a full season to stop saying Pucktel. I finally saw in the chat that I think one of his family members was like, "It's Pucktel," and I finally remembered.
See, well, look at me. This would be a race spot first that I was close to a name and didn't butcher it.
Yeah, and I was literally racing with him for a full season, and I never thought to ask him about his name. So that's my own fault. But we got it right eventually.
Yeah, eventually you get it. Dickinson, he comes down pit lane from the 7th place position here as that battle raged on. The 3's going to end up getting around there, trying to look up and down the board and see all the people that maybe be pitting, but they're not. And nobody wants to come down just yet.
I think Ted Lowendick has also come down, so he's the first, him and Sean Dickinson are the first 2 legit drivers fighting for the top spots in this race that haven't run into bad luck, who've elected to come down. Or I guess Turner Schroll also. He's a driver fighting for AM positions. But Dickinson and Lowendick do not talk about the Venn diagram of their 2 names, but they have both elected to come down pit road in recent times compared to each other, if that sentence made any sense. But they're both early takers. There's still 13 minutes to go, and nobody else has decided to follow Lowendick and Dickinson's lead.
Yeah, you're not. It's weird you haven't seen many drivers come down yet. You talked about the halfway point, and still, I mean, you can count on one hand to how many people that's pitted. The leaders are still out here on the racetrack, and Morales and them are still putting down fairly decent laps. I mean, they're only 3/10 off what they ran early in this race.
There's Arnaud Genet, the first of the Unit Sim Sports drivers is in. Arnaud pulls off. He's going to come in for the top 5. First of our drivers in the top 5 to elect to pit. Crisp and Trepanier are going to stay out more. Morales and Campbell are going to stay out as well. Basically, everybody else is going to stay out as well. Puctel is in, but this seems to be a pretty wide pit window. Ted Lowendick came in 2 laps ago, and there might be a 3 or 4 or even 5 lap difference once Morales and Campbell decide to come in.
It's going to be a massive difference across the board to what we see. I'm still kind of surprised that a lot of these drivers have yet to choose to come down pit lane, but it's not surprising that the leaders haven't. I mean, you see Morales, Campbell, Chris, Trepanier, I think I still said that right. I might have screwed that one up. But these 2 battling hard at one another. This might give them an opportunity. If they pit together, maybe they can chunk into some of this lead that they have in front of them. Because I mean, they're not falling off. I mean, they really are only. They're only about 0.4 of a second slower than the leaders. They just kind of got caught up in no man's land there.
A little bit of cone bullying in the background. Micheline Green takes out a couple of the cones on the outside of turn 9. Morales and Campbell are currently navigating through the final couple of corners. We'll see if this is the lap that they finally elect to come in. Campbell's really brought that gap down. It was almost 2 seconds at one point, but Campbell's brought it down to 1 second. Now they both decide to enter. Let's see who's going to be better on the brakes. Who can take advantage of the pit lane here under braking? It looks like they're about equal. Still about a second between the 2 of them. Morales and Campbell going to follow each other into the box here. We watch Sean Campbell here. Let's see if he can nail his box, and let's see if he's done Sean Campbell things and saved a little bit of fuel. It's tough to save fuel in the McLaren. You can kind of see the effects of that when it's spitting fire out of the back, but we wait. 9 seconds for Morales. Oh dear, 11 seconds for Sean Campbell. There's 2 seconds down the drain.
And you see the irritation there. The frustration that goes in this, he's like, man, he already knew it. The moment he saw Morales pull off, he knew that his race was over unless he was getting pulled off the pit lane that much faster. But you see Vincent right here in the 84 or 87. And we were right here with Sean Campbell in the McLaren. For Vincent up there in the lead in the 87, he's doing what he's got to do. He's driving the qualifying lap. We talked about that in the race a while ago in the fixed race. If you drive the qualifying lap, maybe go out there and separate yourself, maybe on 1 or 2 laps, and then come down pit lane. You're at the low fuel portion of this run right now.
Micheline Green also trying to extend here, maybe try and win his battle with J.R. Williams. Vincent Trepanier exclusively thinking about Martin Crisp and Arnaud Genet here. He's got about 2 more corners to go here before he can finally come in. I'm sure that Porsche is screaming at him, please, there's no fuel in my tank, please come in right now. And he is going to heed its command and pull in here. He's going to clip a little bit of the grass as well. Luckily, that is allowed here. You can do that. That will not be a penalty. He gets it slowed down for the pit lane speed limit. He's going to pull a very, very long time forward here. That's the bonus, or I guess the switch off of qualifying up front. You got to crawl through pit lane for quite a while. Not many drivers in the box. No drivers near his stall. He doesn't overcook it. Now we sit here for about 5-6 seconds, and we wait for Vincent Trepanier to rejoin.
Yeah, Morales is already cleared. Campbell's already cleared. We'll see if Crisp clears here. He goes to merge back in with the race. Crisp is there. Not too sure he's going to clear. Trepanier is actually going to be a whole lot ahead of Chris right there. So good run right there for that 87, and hopefully we get to talk to him if this 8 minutes goes by and we're still fine and he's right there in third.
I think Trepanier was definitely doing a little bit of fuel saving because he was just riding behind Martin Crisp for the longest time, and he was 1.3 seconds quicker in the box. J.R. Williams and Mitchell Ian Green, I talked about how Mitchell's trying to jump him, but Mitch on the inside, J.R. on the outside, still trying to fight it side by side. Actually, that was the other way around. J.R. was on the inside. Now Mitchell Ian Green takes the outside. They're switching back every corner. It's finally resolved. J.R. Williams hangs on for the moment, but look at Ted Lowendick in the background. He's actually lost out to both of these drivers with his decision to come into pit early. He's lost 2 spots for that strategy move.
Yeah, he did lose 2 positions. He goes back to 8th. Williams right here, right in a really pretty line, not doing anything overly aggressive. Green sitting there behind him, took the cones out. Cone abuse. Come on, guy. But he has to fight Green off here. And now Green, he might have an opportunity to pull the switchback back, maybe go down into turn 1 and send it. But no, he's slow.
I think that's a slowdown.
That's a slowdown for the cones. Oh.
Mitchell Ian Green extended the track a little bit too much, got a slowdown, and that's how Ted Lowendick's going to get by him for 7th. I'm sure J.R. Williams is very thankful for that, because I think Mitchell Ian Green's going to be a little bit hot under the collar now, and he's going to spend more time fighting with Ted Lowendick and expanding that gap up to J.R.
Yeah, slowdown penalty, kind of. You have all that runoff spot here at Barcelona, but the crazy part about it is sometimes you overstep it and you don't realize you overstepped that. And he did there. He gets the slowdown penalty. Now he's going to go right back at Lodrick and see if he can get underneath him. Yeah, don't do that there.
He peeked to the inside. Ted gave him room. That worried me for a moment. We've seen a couple of pinches in turn 1 and very, very badly. But Ted Lowendick is a respectful driver. He's a driver who gets a lot of room, and I think he knows that Mitchell Ian Green is probably racing very, very aggressively right now, and he's probably thinking about that. It's probably better to finish 7th than to finish about 15th after getting dumped by this guy. But he is doing a good job of some defensive work here. Sean Dickinson is in the background as well, making this a Lowendick-Dickinson sandwich of Mitchell Ian Green. I also just want to update you on the AM lead. Over the course of that pit cycle, Nathan Deering has been jumped. Miguel Angel Fonseca has actually taken the lead in AM. He's jumped Deering. He's jumped Stroll. Nathan Deering looked to be on course for his first PRL win, and the pit cycle just hasn't worked out his way. Miguel Angel Fonseca is currently on track for 2 in a row.
Popcorn update, too, by the way, since you gave the AM update. She brought me popcorn, but...
Is it pumpkin?
No, she kind of half-assed it. Gave me... not even a lot. I could probably put all this in my mouth at once.
I think that's a good thing. I think that's the amount of popcorn you deserve.
Kind of hurts.
The popcorn always hurts. The popcorn always hurts. But Nathan, who the heck is Nathan? Mitchell Ian Green is on the attack on Ted Lowendick. My brain is just going fully scrambled tonight. I think all of ours are. But we're going to be side by side into turn 1. It's a battle of the Porsches again. Lowendick's going to have to be later on the brakes. He's not able to. Mitchell Ian Green easily clear into 1. Lowendick goes for the switchback. Switchback doesn't work. He's going to try and do a double switchback up over the top of the hill as Sean Dickinson tries to take advantage as well. But Mitchell Ian Green is truly clear now. He sets his sights forward. He's got 4 laps to go to catch up to JR again.
Yeah, and I don't think he will. He's got 3 seconds that he has to make up here. And he still has to continuously fight off the hard charging from Ted here in the 72. And then you got to think Dickinson's right there behind him. That could capitalize if a mistake's made again. So a big battle going on here. Battle for the lead starting to heat up. The battle for Am is kind of over, I would imagine, as 4 seconds separates that.
Has Mitchell Ian Green just given himself a slowdown again? Because I think through turn 8, he was a little bit off track there. He might have been a little bit too far off track. I think that might have actually been where he got the slowdown last time, but it looks like he's okay. He hasn't served anything yet through the hairpin. Let's see if he pulls off again. No, he got away with that. So false alarm. I thought he extended a little bit too much, but this time he didn't. He's still okay for 7th. The gap for the win is closing down. Sean Campbell has brought it down by he's brought it down to about 0.8 of a second, but he hasn't been able to get much closer than that. He's kind of hit a wall. Diego Morales is just doing some great defensive driving here, and there should be, depending on when they actually came to the line, I'll do some calculations in my head. I think it'll be 2 laps to go when Diego Morales gets to the line next time. So opportunities for Sean Campbell are running out.
Yeah, the opportunities are starting to run out here for these drivers. But the good part about this is you're only a mistake away from getting yourself in a good position to win this. And especially if you're Morales and Campbell, you can't focus on what's going on anywhere else. You can talk to your friends in there, but you have to focus on the lead. If you're Dickerson, Ted, or Green right here, it's full steam ahead. No cautions are going to come out. You've got to do what you got to do here.
Sean Dickinson was all over the back of Ted Lowendick there in turn 1. He is desperate to get by. Down into turn 5, he's doing a great job. He's finding a whole bunch of different lines. He's turning Barcelona into a multi-groove racetrack. Unfortunately, none of those grooves are really working for him. He's just putting Ted under pressure. Up through turn 7 and 8, hops the curb a little bit, loses a little bit of ground. Now BMW versus Porsche up over the top of the hill in turn 9. Dickinson a little bit tighter. Ted Lowendick went a little bit wide. I don't think he's going to be close enough to go for a dive in turn 10, though. Let's see. Does he go for it? No, he is not.
Yeah, he was not even remotely close to getting himself in a position for the dive bomb. Maybe try to set yourself up in turn 1. Potentially, if he could get the draft and just float it all the way down the front straightaway. But only if he could do that. He's kind of starting to fade just a little bit. He's staying on the back bumper. But this battle is not going to stop. As we go up here to the battle for the lead, it's really heated up here, too.
Sean Campbell has brought that gap down. It was about 0.6 of a second coming into turn 1. He was finally able to take advantage of the draft. It's going to be a race against the clock here, whether we take the white flag or not. I think we're playing with seconds here. We'll have to see literally what time they get to the line. If they get to the line with about 1:45 to go, we will go one more time around. And you better hope that everybody's calculated their fuel to take that into consideration. But Sean Campbell's probably treating this like it is the last lap. You see the Nicolas Cage helmet. You see the real Sean Campbell now on your screen. He's shaking his head. He might think this is over already, but there's still quite a few corners to go for Diego Morales to make a mistake, to open up the door a little bit. You might be waiting a long time for Diego to make a mistake, though, because he has not made a single one tonight, even under the pressure of Sean Campbell.
Yeah, the mistakes are crucial. In a place like this, of course, the passing's at a premium. If you have to wait for somebody else to make the mistake, and if you're Sean Campbell, Morales hasn't put one off track yet. He hasn't done anything outside the lines. What you need to do, he has an opportunity here to force him into the mistake, but he's going to have to force him into the mistake in the latter part of this lap because we're coming to the end.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the checkered flag. Time is running out here. I don't believe there will be one more lap through the chicane for the final time. It's a great run for Sean Campbell, but time has run out. Diego Morales hangs on perfectly, and for the 5th time in the PRL, Diego Morales is victorious. He holds off Sean Campbell in the McLaren. Vincent Trepanier in the distance should still hang on to his championship lead. Crisp and Genet, what a battle for them. And Lowendick and Dickinson, a battle royale between them two as well. Ted Lowendick's going to hang on for P8.
Yeah, he hangs on for P8 right here, and we'll see the rest of the drivers come across the board here. The 11 machine, Fonseca.
And Miguel Angel Fonseca is about to navigate through the final corner. I think he's currently taking care of the chicane right now. He looked out of it. He looked like he was going to finish 3rd tonight, but the pit cycle circled everything around. For 2 weeks in a row, Miguel Angel Fonseca is your victorious AM driver. Nathan Deering comes home with P2. I'm sure that's going to be disappointing for him. He wanted his first win, but that is still his best result of the season in 2nd. Turner Schroll in 3rd as well rounds off the AM podium. Alec Bergstrom, a great drive after that lap 1 spin, got back up to 4th. And Jeff Evans finishes with a top 5 in AM as well. He'll take that momentum into tomorrow night with you, Terry.
Well, I know tomorrow night he's going to be pretty. Can't wait to be a part of that.
Nick McLaughlin commits death coming across the front straight. This has been a hellish race for him. Oh my goodness, David Morse. We are doing some car acrobatics here at the end of the race, but Diego Morales had to do some acrobatics to hold off Sean Campbell. He was victorious, and Sean Campbell brought that McLaren home about 8 spots higher than I think he expected. Vincent Trepanier rounded out the podium. Chris Genet, J.R. Williams, Mitchell Ian Green, Ted Lowendick, Sean Dickinson, and Caven Norris rounded out the top 10. P11 went to Tommy Brisson, then the pros of McDonald, Sepulveda, and Menino. Miguel Angel Fonseca won in AM over Nathan Deering and Turner Schroll. Alec Bergstrom, Jeff Evans, and Rob Campbell were the top 6 in AM. Rutherford, Patrick Desjardins, and Christopher Rhines rounded out the top 10 in AM. Caruso was somewhere in the midst of that. He finished 23rd overall. As we wait for that to cycle through a little bit quicker, Nick McLaughlin brought it home in 27th after kind of killing himself coming to the line there. Brett Thurman had a decent day in 26th or 11th in AM. David Morse finished 12th in AM. He was the last driver on the lead lap. And then we already get down to the used car lot. Ryan Pucktell, Thomas Dunn, Robert Goff, Colin McKenzie, Blake Ziti, Gonzalo Cortez, Eric Dubé, and Sean Carmody all ran into assorted amounts of trouble tonight. Terry, we're still waiting for our Victor Diego Morales to show up. I'm going to give him a couple more seconds. I hope Sean Campbell shows up too, Trepanier as well, but before any of them show up, I'm going to let you talk to our AM winner, Miguel Angel Fonseca.
Hi, guys.
Well, I'm not going to try to say your name. I'm just going to call you Miguel. Congratulations on the AM victory here this afternoon. How did you make it through all the chaos to get there?
Well, I had a really bad qualifying. I think that helped. And I really didn't think I would do good in this race. But after the good start and after Alec crashed, I believe in the victory was possible. So, yeah, I was pushing.
Well, actually, talk to me about your livery here. What is that?
Yeah, it's just a little joke I have with inside joke with my sister, saying that the people that use anime livery are usually bad drivers, and that people get angry when a person with anime livery beats them.
I like it. Well, thank those sponsors out there.
Yeah, thanks to my sister and my wife and my family that always watch my races.
Oh, well, I love it. That was early. That was quick. That's your AM winner, Miguel. And you can say the rest of the name for me, Joey.
Fonseca. We'll get Terry. We'll get Terry caught up here. I'm sorry, Miguel, but congratulations on your victory tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Miguel Angel Fonseca, your AM winner, but after that, we got to talk to our pro winner, Diego Morales. You had Sean Campbell breathing down your neck in that fire-breathing McLaren, but you held him off for 40 minutes.
Oh my god, yeah. That was quite an intense race for me.
Were you looking forward to Barcelona coming into this tonight? Because we kind of looked at this place as a track where it's difficult to pass. If you qualify on pole, it's probably easy to hold the driver behind you behind. What were you thinking about Barcelona coming into tonight?
Yeah, I was, it's a track that I like, so I was thinking that I would do good here, but like tire management was a big thing, at least on the Porsche. So yeah, it's a good race. It was a good fun.
So now that Sean Campbell's in that McLaren, it seems to have kind of opened up the field a little bit. It seems like it might be a three-way fight between you and Vincent and Sean for the championship for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, totally. He was trying to make it easier for us, to get him. So it was a nice way of doing that. And yeah, I hope we have a fight until the end.
We're certainly hoping for that in the booth as well. But congratulations on your win tonight, and we wish you good luck next week.
Thank you. Thank you guys for broadcasting us. And yeah, it's been fun. Let's go.
It is always a pleasure broadcasting this series. Diego Morales, your winner. We've got a special treat coming a little bit later, but we're going to wait for that. We're going to take care of our AM podium first. Terry, I got another AM for you. Nathan Deering is here.
Yeah, Nathan Deering, how you doing, man? P2 and AM.
Yeah, about time. It's been a rough start to the season, so tonight was a big one for me.
Yeah, well, the season gets a little bit better. Let's talk about the shift that you could use with this, the pivot you could have on your season. I got a couple more to go here in this series. Do you use this as a launching pad to get you a little better off in the point standings, or are you going to just is this going to be a flash in the pan for you here?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep this consistency down. The first 4 races were really tough for me, but last week was a real starting point for me at Snetterton. So try and keep the momentum going, stay out of trouble, and make it to the end. That's my main key at the moment.
That's sounds like a good strategy. What are those what are those sponsors out there on that car?
Don't know about the sponsors, but I do represent HPDS Academy, Hardpoint Motorsports. Me and my teammate did awesome tonight, so awesome to Turner as well.
Yeah, I like your paint scheme on that car too.
Thank you.
Well,
I didn't design it, but it's pretty good.
The livery, I keep forgetting we're in a separate separate suggestion. But congrats on P2 in the AM class here tonight. That's Nathan Deering, Joey Tebman.
Thank you.
I was muted. That is indeed Nathan Deering. We're going to talk to one more AM, and then we'll round things out with Campbell and Lowe and Dick. I'll spoil it for you. But first, we got to talk to Turner Schroll here, P3 in AM. That was an insane race. It seemed like we had about 7 different leaders in AM, and you came out of it with a podium. How did you do it?
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome race. Kind of bummed I missed my pit box just by a few feet, so I had to back up there. But awesome P2, P3 for Hardpoint by Delta Sport Academy boys, and really excited for Nathan Deering to get his first step up on the podium as well. It's been an awesome race.
So in AM, it was Audi, Mercedes, BMW, the top 3. How did your BMW fare out here, and where do you think your strengths and weaknesses were?
Honestly, all week kind of thought it was pretty poor, but I don't know. Maybe those AM guys know a little thing or two about how to mix it up. They're being all Porsches, but yeah, I gotta love the mix of cars and skill levels here, and it's so much fun to be racing in this AM class, and it's always something different each race. So yeah, it's always awesome.
It's definitely the most fun. It's one of the most fun series in the whole PRL to watch. It's so unpredictable. But we go to 4 more tracks: Oschersleben, Koda, Suzuka, and Rudsko. And which one of them do you think is going to fare the best for you?
Hopefully Suzuka or Koda. But honestly, it's just going to be a pleasure to race all 4 of them here to the end. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we wish you good luck in those coming races, and tell everybody at Hardpoint by Delta Sport we said hi.
Yeah, super pumped. We'll take it back home, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for all your hard work.
That was Turner Schroll, P3 in AM. We're going to talk to 2 more people. We might talk to Arnaud Genet after, but first of all, Sean Campbell finished 2nd in the McLaren. Ted Lowendick finished 8th in the Porsche. First question, Sean Campbell, you told me a couple of days ago that you thought you were going to be half a second off the field. You thought you were going to be half a second off your teammate, and then you out-qualified your teammate by 9/10 of a second. What happened?
I did more testing.
Ted, do you have a rebuttal?
No, he actually did do more testing. I was practicing with him, and so I can confirm that he did do more testing.
Yeah, he knows. I figured out, right? Quotation marks, the optimal aero balance for the car so that it actually turns without spinning out.
Let's not sugarcoat it. There was a lot of complaining the whole time. So
yeah, no, but it felt great in the dirtier. I gotta give it credit. When you have it set up properly and it turns really well, then it does turn really well.
You guys have basically already kicked off what I was planning here. You're already interviewing each other.
Yeah, that's the point.
Mr. Shonk Amble, if you could ask one question of Theodore Lowendick Jr., what would it be?
Why haven't you swapped to the McLaren yet?
Man, why you gotta put me on a spot like that? Well, I don't think I own it, so that's my answer.
Yeah. No, why haven't you swapped to the Audi yet then?
Because you told me to drive the Porsche.
I did say that, but listen, things have changed about that whole Porsche thing.
Now, Mr. Theodore, you have the floor. Ask any question of your teammate and have it kept in history forever in this VOD.
What's it like seeing a car in front of you for once?
Good question.
I don't know. It gives you something to chase, right? It's good to know, like, the goal, obviously, right, is to not be the fastest person so that you can find somebody to learn off of, right? So it's great to have somebody that's quicker than you. Not saying
I know how
that
that feels.
Not saying that I'm usually the quickest person in the world. Definitely not. There are plenty of people out there that are like half a second, more than a second quicker. And it's crazy to watch them and crazy to learn off of them when you get the opportunity.
Terry, I'll open up the door to you before we sign off. I'll give you the last question to both of these guys. Terry, are you alive?
Yeah,
I thought you choked on a popcorn kernel.
No, that wasn't enough to choke on. Trust me. Well, I guess I'll ask both of you. Who's the better teammate?
Ooh.
Ted, he puts up with my garbage complaining. he's like a race engineer in F1. He'll just be like, "Yeah, I know, we saw it."
I like it. That's all I got.
So now I can ask you to do something. I can ask you to shout out your teammates, but your only teammates in the race are here right now. So I can't even ask you to do that.
Well, you know, they're watching. Boris for being the in-race engineer for both of us. That was nice having him in there.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the people joined our stream. Some people were watching the feed from you guys. So thank you guys, everybody at RSR Esport, Butt Kicker, and you guys at RaceSpot, PRL. It's been a fun season. It's been fun to try to chase Sean, even though I can't ever catch him. It's like an endless game of tag, and I'm still it. So.
Well, you're still learning the car.
That's true.
And we'd like to thank TinderHot.xyz, best adult dating site, for their viewership as well. They're always a great fan, but thank you for joining us, Sean and Ted. Thank you for making a little bit of PRL history, having two drivers interview each other, and maybe we'll do it again next week, and maybe you'll be a little bit closer to each other in the finishing results, too.
Maybe we do it in car while driving.
Ooh, that would be revolutionary. I'll have to talk to Arjuna about that.
Two different.
I'm kicking these guys out of the booth now. Terry, you think we should talk to Nick McLaughlin? You think we should talk to our 27th place finisher? Should we do one more?
Why not?
Why the heck not? We got a broadcast window to kill. Nick McLaughlin, the broadcast is still going here. We're going over the window, but you showed up, and that means you're getting interviewed after 27th place.
Oh wow! Hey guys, how's it going?
Well, that's my question to you. You kind of killed yourself coming to the line there. It seemed like you had a pretty tough race.
Yeah, it minimal practice, and I'm having a real hard time coming to terms with this Mercedes. It's something with how it drives and how I like to drive that just doesn't mesh well. I opted to start from the pits because I did not feel comfortable racing side by side with people, and just went to do laps basically.
So we got 4 more races for you to struggle in the Mercedes here this season. Do you think you're going to switch next season? Do you think you might switch series too? Maybe go back to the F3s? What's gonna happen?
Unfortunately, Thursdays is no bueno for me. I'm on kid duty, so I'll probably stick it out with the GT3s. I really enjoy these cars, and we have such a high caliber of racing in this series. I love to race in it, even if I'm not near the front.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say congratulations for 27th, but I'll say condolences for 27th this weekend. As we watch your acrobatics here on our screens, we wish you better luck next week.
Did I land it?
I think so. David Morse was more spectacular, so you're second on our sheets here, but it was still pretty spectacular.
You know what? I'll take second. There you go.
It's better than your finishing result tonight.
Absolutely.
Nick McLaughlin, your 27th place finisher overall, 16th in class. That's everybody, Terry. It's finally the end. It's 10:40 p.m. here on the East Coast. We've gone longer than we normally do because a lot of drivers wanted to talk to us for once, and we'll do it all again next week at Oschersleben, which should be absolutely insane. It's the first new track of the season. A couple weeks ago when we ran there in the GT4s, Jerome Bertiome said I wouldn't want to drive this place in anything bigger than a GT4. Well, we're about to put a full field of GT3s at Oschersleben.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Obviously, I don't think I'll be there, so I'll take my normal Tuesdays off and sit on the couch. Maybe put my feet up. Don't know. I can't wait for tomorrow. PRL Truck Series. I get to call it with Jason, the newest member for RaceSpot, and Martinsville's going to come pretty fun for me.
Indeed, there are 5 nights of PRL action every single week here on RaceSpot. Sunday with the Cup Series, Monday with the MX-5s and the GT4s, Tuesdays with 2 GT3 series, Wednesdays with trucks, and Thursdays finishes it off with the IRO4s and the F3. We hope you'll join us next week for the GT3s. We hope you'll join us tomorrow night for the NASCAR Truck Series, and we hope you'll join us whenever you can on RaceSpotTV. I've been Joey Tebbin. Terry Radford has been Terry Radford. Our producer has been Hugo Luis. Until next time, so long.